ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you live to episode number 50 of the Primetime Rundown right here on the Eastern Observer and the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, Zingo Channel 198, alongside my guys Ian Schraier and Rob DeLuca. I'm Joey Jarzynka. We cannot thank you enough for spending this Friday evening with us on a very, very special episode. It is a milestone episode, number 50. Ian Schraier, Rob DeLuca, how are you guys? And thank you so much for being a part of this. And it would not be possible without the two of you to make it to episode number 50.
Oh, well, first off, Joey, thank you so much for that great introduction. But I still can't thank you enough for bringing myself on board since episode number 29, which was my first episode here on the Primetime Rundown when we were previewing the Stanley Cup playoffs that were going to start that following weekend. So I just can't thank you enough, since it all started when all I was doing was you guys were previewing the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I was just dropping a few comments. Who knew that so many couple of weeks later I would be joining the show as much as I have, and I can't thank you and Rob and everybody else enough for it.
And Rob DeLuca making his entrance in here back, I think, about episode number 27 or 28, in that range. I think it was 27 was your debut when we had come off our little hiatus, and it was actually Hockey Week presented to you by Blue Line Deli Bagels out here on Long Island. And you were here, and it was a fun time, DeLuca. That was your first show.
It is hard to believe it has been over 20 weeks now since.
Yeah.
If you include the breaks.
That's true.
Breaks, but honestly, Joey. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor, and we're just going to keep moving forward. And we have a fun 2 hours ahead to celebrate this milestone.
There's no doubt about it. And we want to also bring in just a few short seconds, SB Nation's Bucks Nation's Evan Winter. He is our good friend from the SB Nation area. And also he covers the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we said it also, guys, right? As soon as Evan left us last week, I said, I knew for a fact that if the Bucks made or won the Super Bowl, Evan was coming back on, and he is actually backstage. We're going to get him in just one quick second, and I see him smiling on the bottom down there. But this is some big news here that we do want to break, even though that it is a couple of days old. Here in the New York area, this is some big stuff here. We are finally heading in the right direction where arenas can begin reopening. So as we see here, starting February 23rd, which is coincidentally my grandmother's birthday, my late grandmother's birthday. Wonder if she had anything to do with this, but State Department of Health approval for venues and events, 10% capacity limit in arenas and stadiums with over 10,000 people or 10,000 person capacity, negative PCR test within 72 hours of the event, face coverings, social distancing, temperature checks required, mandatory, assigned, and social distance seating. So just before we get Evan on board, we do want to say a couple of venues that will be reopening up starting on the 23rd. Barclays Center, roughly about 1,800 guests. MSG, Madison Square Garden, 2,000. The Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, 1,391 exactly. Yankee Stadium, when it does reopen as of right now, it would be around 4,500 people. Citi Field, 3,800. The KeyBank Center, where Buffalo is, 1,800. Bills Stadium, 6,700. We already saw that experiment happen. But do not forget, we have yet to hear any announcement from St. John's, also from Syracuse, where the Carrier Dome is, and also really local buildings within the NCAA. Stony Brook out here, any place in Manhattan, any place even in the Westchester area, upstate, wherever the case may be. We've only heard from the big name buildings, and we really do hope that it continues moving forward in a positive way, and 10% is only a number that we will hear for the immediate future. So really good stuff there. And now we have the honor of welcoming back our good friend from SB Nation, Bucks Nation, Evan Winter. Evan, we were just talking before, obviously, the four of us. And, now you know that regardless, they were going to win. And me, you, and Ian all chose them. I should have had the video. Damn, I should have brought that in because, it could be like a, ha 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 to DeLuca, but welcome back, sir. It's been a long time without seeing you.
Yeah, it certainly feels a little bit like a long time. I mean, like I said earlier before we came on, what a difference a week or two makes, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And we really also want to thank you enough for coming on to episode number 50, because that really does mean a lot to us, especially from all of the guests that we've had on here. And for you to be on episode number 50 not only means a lot to us, but, you know, it's really great for you following the Super Bowl win to come on here and come back with us yet again. So I'm glad that everything worked out well, episode 49, and let's do it right now. So, Evan, as we did speak about last time, you know, we were asking you questions, we were doing whatnot here, but now let's bring you into the whole conversation here with the guys. Fellas, we said this earlier too. Ian, I want to start with you. Left tackle made a big difference. Big difference. And I think the whole offensive line for Kansas City was, let's say, pretty terrible to start things off. I don't really know how much lower you can go. Let's hear your thoughts on that offensive line.
No, I mean, we saw how big the loss of Eric Fisher was for the Kansas City Chiefs, but we really didn't see it until kickoff down in West Florida to really see how much that was going to have effect on the Kansas City offense. But as we were saying before the show, and it bears reiterating right now, is I even though I understood why Tom Brady got the Most Valuable Player award, even though I know halfway through the first quarter people were clamoring for Gronk to get it because he had caught the 2 touchdowns. But if you could have given it to the MVP ever to a coach, it belonged that night to Todd Bowles. I mean, we were on the show 2 weeks ago talking with Evan about the importance on defense and what they needed to do on defense to succeed. And Evan can feel free to jump in whenever he wants and tell me if I'm wrong in what I'm saying here. But
that's right.
But you know, he spoke about the impact of Vita Vea and combining him and the job that JPP did and Shaq Barrett did. I mean, look, the defensive line for Tampa Bay was disruptive all night. But what made it even all that more impressive was we were talking also a couple weeks ago about Levante David, the job that Levante David did on Travis Kelce. I think he finished with Travis Kelce finished with over 100 yards receiving and I believe 10 catches. But how much of that really came during garbage time? I mean, at that point when Tampa Bay was just so well into the lead, and then the job of the Tampa Bay secondary, Antoine Winfield Jr., you know, at safety and doing the job that they did on Tyreek Hill. I mean, to me, that game was won. I mean, granted, yes, Joey, to your point, the loss of Eric Fisher and the fact that they had to put a former Giant, Mike Remmers, at right tackle, who's just, you know, he's not the same right tackle that he was from his days in Minnesota. But that game really hinged upon the game plan that Todd Bowles executed it perfectly.
Evan, I want to go to you because, you know, do you agree? Do you disagree? And, you know, you cover this team a lot more than we do combined. So let's hear your thoughts with this.
Oh, yeah, you got to completely agree. I mean, the game plan that Todd Bowles had was, was just out of this world. And he definitely learned his lessons from the Week 12 matchup. And the Tampa Bay secondary, I love how you included them, Ian. I mean, as great as the front four was, the secondary was just as good. I mean, They were patient they read their keys correctly. They were disciplined. And at the end of the day, you saw a defense execute on all 3 levels of the field or of the defense. I tried to use a different word, but just completely failed. So, like the biggest takeaway from the defense was how they were able to routinely get there with 4 guys. I mean, and it wasn't just every other play. It was every play. I mean, they were literally tearing through that offensive line. And what's crazy is that Kansas City worked with a patchwork offensive line all year long and still only gave up 24 sacks. Football Outsiders, they had them at 4th lowest sack rate, adjusted sack rate at 4.5%. So it's not like, you know, Patrick Mahomes was getting hit 3 times, 4 times a game. I think a lot of that also had to do, you want to talk about game plans, that a lot of that had to do with Andy Reid's insistence on using 5-man protections, which is something I talked with you guys about, how I was thinking he was going to adjust for that because that's how Tampa Bay was able to get to Mahomes in Week 12. He didn't do that as well. So you got to love the juxtaposition between the coaching game plans here in Todd Bowles and Andy Reid. And Todd Bowles definitely came out on top. That was an absolute waxing from start to finish.
Let me tell you something. This is something that I want to bring up here also, because Ian had brought up the secondary for Tampa Bay. We have to put on display here, guys, that Jordan Whitehead had a severe torn labrum, or what they kept reporting was a severe shoulder issue. It was a torn labrum. He played the entire game. That is tremendous. And also, too, where there were talks, and I'm sure, Evan, you've heard of it, too, and I want to ask Rob DeLuca this question, too. My goodness.
Vita Vea on the mind.
So we heard multiple things about Carlton Davis and the secondary being, let's call it subpar for Tampa Bay. DeLuca, for you saw this game just like how we did. I mean, how good did this secondary play?
This was one of the best games I've seen from that Chiefs secondary, honestly. This is a team, or no, not Chiefs secondary. I'm sorry, the Bucs secondary.
Well, I was going to say Chiefs secondary played pretty well.
The Bucs secondary, phenomenal job. One of their best games of the season, bar none. And it comes at the best time possible, obviously, in the most important game of their lives. Yeah. But also, not to discredit the Bucs secondary, I found it to be a very poor performance from the Chiefs receiving. Because with all the pressure Patrick Mahomes was under, he was still getting off some of these wacky throws that ended up still being perfect. Yeah. And they were dropped. They were just flat out dropped or tipped for the easy interception in the end zone by the tip on that in the third quarter there. Huge game turner. Chiefs could have gotten back into this game. We would have seen a brand new game. And instead, the Bucs kept the momentum going because of that interception. But all because the Chiefs just had Butterfingers on that receiving core. Even though Patrick Mahomes, despite the pressure, is getting off these Sports Center type throws, and they're perfect. So,
I mean, you look at Travis Kelce, his drop on third down that could have easily been caught. You look at the Darrell Williams drop in the end zone where Patrick Mahomes was literally laying, horizontal or whatever, parallel rather, to the ground. The receivers definitely did not play well. And it was a lot of fun to watch this secondary play because, they've taken their lumps over the year. And the way, though, that they came together over the postseason obviously bled into the Super Bowl. And that was one of kind of the biggest questions coming into 2020 is, would this secondary take the next step? Would they start to kind of find their feet, for lack of a better phrase, in Todd Bowles' defense? And, man, if this postseason run can translate into next season, A, you're going to feel great about where this secondary is heading, and B, it's going to pay off all kinds of dividends for this defense as a whole. And the thing about Jordan Whitehead, which makes his playing with the torn labrum even more just like, I don't know if we're allowed to curse on here, but holy shit, he's going into a contract year. I mean, if something goes wrong, he could miss out on a big payday. So just the fact that he was willing to put all that aside and go out there and play, and he even made a big hit early in the game. And it was cool if you go back and watch on the tape, it was his left shoulder that was hurt. He just flies in. Like his tackling angles are always so good. Like he always takes the best angles, and it doesn't really matter where he's at on the field. He's still going to wrap up, form, all that stuff, and make the play. But you could tell as he's going in, he dips in and hits with his right shoulder instead of his left. And it's like, good call, man. Good call. It was cool, man. It was awesome getting to watch these guys do what they did and get to celebrate for it, obviously.
Evan, a long way, I would say, from Vernon Hargreaves, right?
Oh my God, yeah. Brent Grimes too. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, he would, whenever 2018 was my first year at Bucs Nation, and I got to go on the road for the road games, and I was doing the same thing in 2019 until I tore my ACL. But he was literally first guy out of the locker room after every game. Or like by the time, the press, you walk down to the locker room, all that stuff. You got about 10 minutes between the end of the game and the press conferences. Dude, by the time like even just one or two of us were there, like the first couple of people, he was already out the door. And I mean, just a weird dude. His wife's weird too, but I don't want to sound sexist or anything.
So I have a question for you, Evan, is, and I don't think we really touched upon it a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to speak about it because it was said at the Super Bowl and it was part of, Tony Romo's, kind of pre-first snap, what are the keys to the game, and something that Romo had said, and I thought the way he said it was the way it was executed on the field for Tom Brady and his offense was that the Buccaneers and the Bruce Arians offense had to do a good job of really disguising, run the ball a lot, throw, a lot of what we saw the Buccaneers do, a lot of those short to intermediate passes, because it's very tough at this point at 43 years old for Brady to really get the ball downfield as much as he would like anymore. But also talking about the play action and how important the play action is going to be, just continually disguising that offense. Do you feel that he really hit the nail on the head because it's about what they need to do to win that game? Because it seems like what he said is what transpired on the field.
Yeah, and you could kind of see that kind of developing back in the Week 12 matchup, and Tony Romo even highlighted it back in the Week 12 matchup. Tampa Bay was getting their butts kicked early in the game, and Tony was talking about, and it was even on the Mike Evans intended reception, Tom Brady's interception on that play. I worded that really weird, so sorry about that. But he mentioned it, how they weren't adjusting for the blitz. They weren't doing hot reads. And then later Brady hits Godwin over the middle real quick for a quick pass. And Romo was like, oh, look, hey, they're finally adjusting to the blitz, so on and so forth. What Tampa Bay's offense did over the last 8 weeks of the season was, what you said, Ian, just exactly what they needed to do. And it grew each week. We saw it progress and get better each week. And in my honest opinion, it all centers around the offensive line. This offensive line is going to go down as the best front five in Tampa Bay franchise history. They were moving bodies in that Super Bowl. They played well all offseason long, or postseason long. And excuse me, they're all in line to come back next year. So this whole offense, this whole team, and it's still a little early, so it might be the hype still from Sunday, and I'm being unbiased as hell when I say this. But if this team makes the right moves in the postseason, brings the right guys back, so on and so forth, you could closely associate the word unstoppable with this team. I mean, if you look what they did to the Chiefs, and honestly, I think, now granted, the Chiefs made a lot of mistakes in that game. There are a lot of mistakes on the Chiefs' ends in that game. But just how they came out and flat out dominated them from first quarter to fourth quarter, if they keep that up, man, with another year and a full offseason under their belts, it's going to be tough to beat them. It is.
You said, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ian. And
no, not at all.
I just want to just grab one thing here. Right after the trophy presentation on CBS, Coach Bill Cowher had said that this team on both sides of the ball is the best in the NFL heading into next year. When you look at, again, a team that, yes, they played absolutely remarkable down the stretch, both on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. And as something that we did bring up a couple of weeks ago, Evan, when you were on here, was that their front seven is now, in my opinion, after seeing what we saw just 5 days ago, is easily the best in the NFL. But there still could be some question marks in the secondary. Do you agree with that? Or do you really believe that Coach Cowher is correct that from top to bottom on both sides of the ball, this team really is the best in the NFL?
I think the only question that remains with the secondary is the postseason run. Was it a sign of things to come, or was it just an in-the-moment flash of the pan type deal? I don't think it was a flash in the pan. Going back to Jordan Whitehead's contract year, this is also Carlton Davis's contract year, third year in Todd Bowles' system. Same thing with the other guys. Antoine Winfield Jr. will be going in his second year. Mike Edwards going in his third year. Jamel Dean, his third year. Sean Murphy-Bunting, his third year. So they've got all these guys together. And really the only question they need to answer, like I said, is if that postseason run was just a flash in the pan or not. Yeah. I would say no. I would venture to say no, just because – I don't know, man. Just watching them on the tape, how they gelled, how they understood everything, how they pressed up on their guys. It just seemed like this was the step everybody that is associated with the franchise. It seems like this was a step that they finally needed to take, and they took it. Something I mentioned on Twitter a few days ago. I ranked Tampa Bay's off-season needs, their priorities rather, and I group safety and cornerback as defensive back. But that was like I did 10 positions, and I think that was number 9. It was just above kicker. So I would if you're associated with the Bucs, you have to feel good about going about the secondary going into 2021.
And how cool is it? How cool was it also to see the cannons go off at the end of this?
Yes,
and obviously, just like how we had brought up too last time, we brought up with the fact that, you know, the home field advantage. Me, Ian, and DeLuca, we have a group message, and I remember I had said this, and I was just like, oh, you know, they should do whatever. And Ian was just saying, oh, you know, it's got to be neutral, it's got to be whatever. Listen, this is the first time ever that a team is not only hosting the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden, right, we have to realize too that who got the home locker room? Was it Kansas City? Was it Tampa Bay? I don't even know who was.
I don't know. Honestly, I would lie. I'd be lying if I told you I did.
Say that again, DeLuca.
Kansas City called the coin toss, so they were ruled the road team.
I mean,
yeah, they were the road team. Yeah, they were. I know because Tampa Bay got to choose their jerseys, and that's why they chose the road jerseys. Excuse me, God, I don't know what's wrong with my throat. But they got to choose their jerseys, and they chose the road jerseys because they'd won 3 straight road playoff games. So that's So Bucs are definitely the home team. I would think they got the home locker room, but like I said, I don't want to blow any smoke, so I don't know for sure.
No pun intended. But seriously though, going back to the cannons, but going back to the cannon though, how cool was it for you as a Bucs writer to hear that? Oh,
it was awesome, man. But I'm gonna be a little petty. I'm gonna be a little picky. It would have been a lot cooler to hear it go off during the game after the 4 touchdowns that Tampa Bay scored on offense. I get it. It's a neutral site. Or it's at least supposed to be a neutral site for a neutral game. But honestly, if it's after the touchdown, if it's after the play, how in the hell is that affecting the game at all? Like, to me, that was just pointless. If they wanted to make Kansas City have some kind of celebration, they could have lined up a bunch of war drums on the other side. They could have gotten the Chiefs guy riding around the horse with like throwing the thing in the ground. I mean, they could have gotten all kinds of other ways to do it to even it out. But no, overall, yes, man, it was awesome to hear the cannons go off at the end because obviously it meant they won. And as long as Gene Deckerhoff, he does the Bucs radio. He's the big Bucs radio guy. He's been doing it for 3 decades now, I think. As long as he got to say "fire the cannons," you know, Bucs win, then hey, I'm cool with it.
Evan, I want to go back to what you were saying about plans for 2021 and just talk about, because we'd be remiss not to mention just a big piece of this postseason puzzle was after the injury with Ronald Jones was the fact that Leonard Fournette stepped in and when he had gone to Tampa, Bruce Arians week 1 was devoted to Ronald Jones, and it was that way really for 16 games through the regular season, and Fournette really had to step into such big shoes coming into the postseason. And I mean, I don't want to understate this, but it felt like he outperformed himself in such a way. I mean, 89 yards, a rushing touchdown. He did that throughout the entire postseason run. So would you say right now going into 2021 that Fournette maybe is the starting running back going forward, and what happens to Ronald Jones?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really good question, man. He was excellent during the postseason, and I think a lot of that had to do with the offensive line. Not trying to take anything away from Fournette, but that's also going to be part of the plan moving forward. Is I think Arians and Leftwich are going to feel like no matter who they have in the backfield, they're going to produce because the offensive line is so good. Going to your question though about being the starter, it all depends obviously on what happens with his contract. He only had the 1-year deal coming in Tampa, and dude, I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong. I didn't rail against, but I definitely made my voice heard about my disagreement with Leonard Fournette coming to Tampa Bay. And hey, my foot's never tasted better. I would not mind if they brought him back. I honestly wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
Him and Ronald Jones made a really, really good combination, and then we saw it come in handy when Ronald Jones hurt his quad going up into the Washington game. Also was on the COVID list for the last couple weeks of the season. And then also Leonard Fournette was out for 3 weeks during the regular season, and Ronald Jones led the NFL in rushing over those 3 weeks. So, I mean, it's undeniable how well they work as a tandem. But, I mean, dude, Leonard, playoff Lenny, he killed it. He showed why he was that top 5 pick a few years ago. Mm-hmm. It's not going to surprise me if some team gives him a decent-sized contract. And with the other needs that Tampa Bay has, I think he's kind of down there. So if another team is willing to outbid the Bucs, then I could definitely see him moving on for sure.
Yeah, Evan, absolutely right there. But, you know, as we're running low on your time goes so fast. We have so much fun when you're here. And it's already, we're 4 minutes away from 7:30 already. But I gotta know.
We can make things happen, DeLuca. Don't you worry.
The tradition keeps on. Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski have said they're going to Disney World. But Evan, you're a Tampa Bay Bucs fan. You just watched your guys win the Super Bowl. What are you gonna do next?
I'm gonna go to the season opener. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna watch that ring ceremony, man. And you know, hopefully y'all brought the COVID thing up at the beginning of the show. Hopefully everybody's vaccinated by then. Hopefully things are at least a little bit back to normal. And yeah, man, I'm gonna be there because that's gonna be my Super Bowl because I would have been down there this year. Obviously, COVID was the main culprit. But also I have a 10-month-old son. If he wasn't in the equation, I probably still maybe would have gone. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm doing, man, going opening night. And by the way, guys, we got to talk about the boat parade. I mean, what was y'all's favorite moment? Y'all let me know. Like, I can tell y'all. There it is, dude. When they showed that video, I was like T.O. Just like, that's my quarterback, man. Like,
I honestly thought, Evan, that when they showed that video, when it first got released, when it first went viral, I wasn't sure what that was about. I thought I thought he was being escorted out because he got arrested, or I wasn't sure. I didn't know maybe if it was like flashing back to his days in New England. I wasn't even sure initially it was Tom Brady that was being escorted off the boat. So by far, that was just because it was the most unexpected. I mean, look. I mean, the guy can throw a football. He could throw a Lombardi trophy 20 feet from boat to boat without it landing in Tampa Bay. So I do have to say my favorite moment was actually realizing that was Tom Brady. And I don't even know who that was, whether that was his security or –
it was their third-string quarterback, Ryan Griffin. That was his opening. You're always a backup in some regard, man. You're always backup in some regard when you're back.
I mean, just next time you talk to TB12, Evan, just let him know. Just ask him if he could hold his liquor a little better. I
said one thing I saw on Twitter. This one person was like, "Now the next thing they're going to come out with is a TB12 method for hangover." And I was like, "Dude, that'll sell out college campuses everywhere, man."
The hangover diet, yeah.
Right. I used to take a little thing called chasers back in the day. Like you take a couple of them before you drink, right. But yeah, that I would totally follow the TB12 method for a hangover for sure.
The magic elixir to fix all of all your hangover needs. Listen, we do have that video, not the one where he was walking out, but where I think it was my most favorite moment, where this man, the greatest quarterback ever, the GOAT, threw the Lombardi trophy to another boat.
That was phenomenal.
Courtesy of Tampa Bay News. I believe the Fox affiliate. Here we go.
This trophy, we'll see here. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Oh. They got it. That was the most important catch of the season right there.
Oh, he just had a little bit of tequila. Tequila.
It was avocado tequila. It's fine, guys.
And what I love more than anything is that they made sure they got the photographer there to capture every part of that moment in case he overshot or missed the boat completely.
If he overshot the boat with that thing, that was impressive.
Dude, and the Hillsborough River, that's the river they're on. That thing is not like, a kiddie pool. That thing is deep, dude. Like you're scuba diving to get that sucker out if that thing goes down. And Cam Wright earned every bit of his $6 million 2021 salary with that catch. They're like, go ahead and pay him now. We'll just go ahead and give him the money. Dude, that was an incredible scene to witness. A buddy of mine specifically saved money and saved, a trip and all that other stuff. He decided to go to the parade instead of the Super Bowl. And dude, honestly, that might have been more fun than the Super Bowl. I think that just looked like an absolute party. I don't know if y'all have seen the picture of Bruce Arians saluting with the beer and then Jason Lights chugging right below him. I mean, just God, man, what a time! What a time.
I gotta tell you though, and even I don't mean to interrupt you. And
no, go ahead.
I think the coolest part not only was seeing his mom, 95 years old, really amazing to be also in the to
she
be
didn't
in
look
a box
95 at all either.
Say it one more time.
No, I said she didn't look 95 at all either.
I know that when they said that she was 95, or it said it on the bumper on the bottom, I could not believe that she was 95. Really incredible stuff, and that she was there also.
Yeah, for sure, man. A very, very young 95 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Now, something I want to bring up here again, something that Ian and DeLuca had said that it was pathetic and classless, but I know Evan and myself both agree with this, that I think that this was phenomenal. And I think also what Tyreek Hill did back on week 12, let's not forget, fellas, okay? Listen, he did it before, and why not? Listen, Antoine Winfield got the last message, and he won the Lombardi Trophy. What else do you want? Listen, Tyreek Hill, last year he won it. Now it's Antoine Winfield Jr.'s turn. Why not?
AW Jr. is my boy, man. That's my dude. That message was, I respect it. I loved it. And it's just not only because it's my team. I will admit there's some biasness in that, but coming from an objective standpoint, taking off the pewter and red glasses, that message was delivered to nobody but Tyreek Hill. Antoine Winfield had a message. I mean, it's the same thing as Joe Horn pulling a Sharpie or a cell phone out from underneath the goalpost. It's the same thing with T.O. and the Sharpie. It was just something that was planned, and it just so happened to happen on the field and during the field of play instead of after a touchdown being scored. So at the end of the day, I can totally see why people didn't like it. But I'm going to let my fandom take over in this one. I loved every second of it.
That's right. That's exactly right. Ian Schraier, Rob DeLuca, final thoughts.
No, I just think it was a lot better of a Super Bowl than I think people are calling it at this point. I'm not just saying that on behalf of Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans and not Kansas City Chiefs fans, because even though the final score may not indicate it, what I loved so much about that game is how well planned, and again, we said this at the start of the conversation, was how well planned the Tampa Bay defense planned for that Super Bowl, and how well they executed that game plan. That's what made that Super Bowl so good. You want to call it, look, people are calling it like, oh, one of the most boring Super Bowls of this generation. Look, Seattle-Denver was a boring Super Bowl. Like, even though I like defensive battles, I know like New England Rams went out there, like Carolina Denver Super Bowl 50.
Well, even part one.
Even
part one was boring.
It's just like, to me, it's like this was just a great Super Bowl because it was young versus old, the past versus the future, and it had all that buildup of Mahomes versus Brady, and it wasn't even Mahomes versus Brady that took over that game. It was just the fact that it was just such a beautifully executed game plan by the Buccaneers. They earned every bit of that 60 minutes for that win. Yeah,
Rob DeLuca.
Yeah, no, I gotta agree with Ian. I thought it was a great Super Bowl. Honestly, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. People gotta stop like including commercials and the halftime show into these scenarios on grading the game as a whole. Because here's the thing: those have been going downhill for at least the last decade. There's been nothing worth looking at during commercial breaks anymore. Halftime shows are down the tubes lately. It was not that great of a show, but the game makes up for that. That's what this is all about. The Super Bowl is about the game and nothing else. It's about who will come out on top as the NFL's #1 team, and we got the best matchup possible. As Ian said, the past versus the future, and in the end, the master took down the student.
Yep.
There's also a couple of things that I just want to add in here before we jump back to Ian Schraier. Patrick Mahomes lost the game by more than one possession for the first time since November 19th, 2016, when he was still at Texas Tech. Believe that or not. That's craziness. That is beyond crazy. And we obviously know Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowl wins, more than any other NFL franchise, more than his former team, the Patriots, and more than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then also, this is another odd statistic, and I'm sure Evan knows this as well. Tom Brady has won the Super Bowl in every even-numbered season since 2014. So 14, 16, 18, and 20. Yeah, I'm like, wait, yeah, we're in the year 21, but we're in the season of 2020. Ian Schraier.
His version of the San Francisco Giants, but Evan,
yeah, that's true,
right? Evan, one last thing to ask you, and it's more of a joke, but I have to ask you, even though you weren't there for it. I mean, does that halftime show rank in like the top 5 all-time halftime shows for you, or what with the weekend?
So the one cool thing about covering the Super Bowl for a writing or for a website is I didn't have to pay attention to any of that stuff. So like I was too busy writing. I was too busy, taking notes, all that. Like the only commercial I really watched in full context was the Michael B. Jordan Alexis, which I'm glad if any of them I got to see that one. That one was great. Alexis, turn the lights on, or don't turn the lights off. Like, dude, that one was great. But I saw clips. And I mean, it looked pretty cool. It looked pretty snazzy, I mean, he was running through like the gold tunnel, the gold labyrinth. David Bowie would have been proud about that. And I mean, the whole like looking up as the stuff flying over him, that was cool. But overall, man, yeah, I didn't have to pay attention to any of that crap this year, and that was awesome. So please,
kudos to you, Evan. Kudos
That's
to
a
you.
win for Evan Winter.
That's right. Really, really good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, SB Nations, Bucks Nation, Evan Winter. Evan, thank you so much, man, for coming back on 2 times in 3 weeks. We really appreciate you, man, and we hope to have you back on. I'm hoping sooner rather than later, man. We really appreciate you coming on here, and especially, again, on a milestone episode. It's really a pleasure to have you, as always.
Hey, it's an honor. Thank you all for having me. I mean, to be on the 50th episode, that's obviously a big deal. So, I mean, like I said, tremendous honor. It's all mine. And yeah, for sure, definitely need to talk in the future. There's a lot coming up this off season for the entire NFL. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll definitely have to keep in touch.
There's no doubt about it, Evan. You stay well, and tell your cat hello as well, because we saw the behind earlier, and very cute cat you got there.
So yeah, so since we'll be talking more in the future, his name's Woodstock, but we call him Woody. So anytime y'all want to say hi, just give him a shout out.
Definitely will. There's no doubt about it. Evan Winter, ladies and gentlemen. Evan, we'll speak to you soon. Thanks so much, man.
Take it easy, guys.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Evan.
So let's keep it moving here, fellas. And right around 23 minutes from now, we have Tyler Adell, or actually 22 minutes, we have Tyler Adell coming back on. He actually is backstage. He will be with us right around the 8 o'clock hour. 8:30, we will be welcoming Casey Bryan and Larry Protakowicz. We also have a couple of videos also to conclude the extravaganza later on, because it has been a ton of fun, not only through 50 episodes, but I want to also give out another shout out here, because it would not have been possible without my friend Nick Partain, as he was on here for the first 30 episodes. He's no longer with us on the show, but there's no doubt about it. If it was not for him, this show would not be where it is today. And he is definitely one that really he made this show where it is today. A lot of his good advice and a lot of his good ideas have landed us where we are today. So I just want to say thank you so much to my good friend Nick Partain for being not only the friend that you are, but also helping us grow as not only the Eastern Observer, but also as the Primetime Rundown. So thank you very much, Nick. Guys, let's keep moving forward here on the Primetime Rundown, episode number 50. For all of those that are watching, please comment and join the conversation. We've got ton of fun stuff, and as DeLuca had said earlier, the extravaganza shall continue on. And for my guys,
I love you, Rob DeLuca. I really do.
Say it again.
I said I love you, Rob DeLuca. I really do. Just with his reactions.
I spread the love. That's what I do.
And also earlier I by accidentally said my boss's name. I said Rob DeVita as opposed to Rob DeLuca. And I think that's because I know I have to go to work early tomorrow morning. for game day, but I do apologize. Yeah, I doubt that, but I digress there. Guys, let's keep moving forward here, and let's actually head back to the NFL. Some crazy news today happened. We saw a video. The Houston Texans and defensive end J.J. Watt mutually parted ways, actually from the request from the 10-year veteran. Here's a video of what he posted on social media, courtesy of NFL Season. Take a look.
I wanted to do this on video as opposed to putting out a statement or doing a press conference or anything like that, because I want you guys to hear it directly from me. I want to speak directly to you and the city of Houston so you can hear the words straight from my mouth. I have sat down with the McNair family and I have asked them for my release, and we have mutually agreed to part ways at this time. I came here 10 years ago as a kid from Wisconsin who'd never really been to Texas before. And now I can't imagine my life without Texas in it. The way that you guys have treated me, besides draft night, I mean, you guys booed me on draft night, but every day after that, you treated me like family. And I truly feel like you're my family. Since that day, I have tried to do everything in my power to work and earn your respect and try and make you proud on and off the field. You guys have given me everything and more, and I can only hope that you feel like I've given you everything I have. The city of Houston's been unbelievable to me. It's where I met my wife. It's where I've met lifelong friends and my teammates. I've had incredible coaches and training staff and equipment staff and cafeteria workers and the weight room staff and the front office people and people on the streets, people in restaurants and grocery stores and showing up at my house. The connection is special, and I will never, ever take that for granted because I know how rare it is. I'm excited and looking forward to a new opportunity, and I've been working extremely hard. But at the same time, it is always tough to move on. And I just want you guys to know that I love you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the McNair family for giving me, drafting me and giving me my first opportunity in the NFL. Thank you, Houston. I love you.
Okay, so 6'5" defensive end from Wisconsin, Central Michigan is where he went to college. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Don't get confused with Milwaukee. There is a town, I guess, called Milwaukee where he's from. He was drafted 11th overall in 2011. And apparently this move will save the Houston Texans roughly about $16 million, and that's really all we've got so far. He's been injury riddled for the previous few seasons, but you know, within I would say the early part of the 2010 decade, the man was unstoppable. And it's the end of an era. Obviously, Hurricane Harvey. He was there for so many things. It's really unbelievable to see J.J. Watt moving on with his career, not with the Houston Texans. But then again, we got to see Tom Brady win a Super Bowl in a different uniform. We also got a little bit of a sneak peek of all of how this all works when Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos. So we're kind of used to it now as me and DeLuca are getting older. I'm not saying, you know, and as Ian's getting older too. I don't mean to throw you under the bus, but we understand. Listen, you're a couple of years older than we are.
I'm not disclosing my age on this show right now.
You've done it before. Who are you kidding?
That is true. That is true. And also, I have to speak for myself because I actually found a bald spot over here. So, you know, this is some really crazy stuff that J.J. Watt is no longer there. Where do you think he goes?
Well, looks like Larry Patakowicz is here in the comments section, and he stole my idea. And he stole my talking point. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. J.J. Watt is leaving Houston because he knows he's 32 or 33 years old. He's getting a lot older. He's not getting any younger, unfortunately, but he's still got a little bit left in the tank. So he wants to go and he wants to get that ring before his career is over. And right now, there is nothing that says Green Bay doesn't have the tools to do it. They just flat out choked against Tampa Bay in the NFC Championship game. There's no other way to put that. But that's something that'll help out Green Bay. He will strengthen up their defense. So I think it is very, very possible to see a homecoming for J.J. Watt in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Ian Schraier, I want to follow up with that, but Ian Schraier first.
Well, I want to go back to the video for a second first, and I do have an opinion where I think he could go where, well, even though I'm going to reference a tweet when I do so, but and it'll still be hard for him to get there. However, you could just see the emotion in his voice. Now, I don't remember the draft 10 years ago that he actually got booed when he got drafted by the Texans out of the University of Wisconsin. But I think he said everything. I think he said everything that needed to be said. I mean, he's just a consummate pro, and all that he's given back to that city and that community. There's no reason for that city to ever feel any ill will towards him. I mean, the $41 million that he raised for all the Hurricane Harvey victims. I mean, look, he doesn't owe anything to the city of Houston. I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, he's an NFL Man of the Year. I mean, they owe him, if anything. But he just poured his heart and soul on the field. One of the real unstoppable forces. I mean, I believe at a couple of points in the 2010s, he was named the #1 top player one of the top, or I think the #1 of the top 100 players in the NFL for that season.
Yep.
Look, I understand why he wants to leave. Excuse me. I mean, it's a very fluid situation right now in Houston. There's a new GM. You've got a quarterback that's very unhappy. You also have a trade that happened last year where they were with DeAndre Hopkins, where they let go of or I should say traded away their #1 wide receiving threat. My prediction, I don't want to call it my prediction because right now this team is $24 million over the salary cap hit after one of their franchise offensive line players had officially retired along with his brother today. But there was a tweet that I want to reference by TJ Watt, who, as we know, is the starting linebacker and a starting All-Pro for the Pittsburgh Steelers, saying, after retweeting his brother's tweet with just a picture of The Rock with his hand out saying, "Just bring it." So I don't think it could have been said any better than that he wants his brother to join him in Pittsburgh. But I just don't know, unless they find a way to restructure some contracts, how that's possible. But I'll agree with Larry and Rob here and say Green Bay is a very possible destination. I'm not sure what their cap situation is right now, because he is going to require a nice hearty cap hit when it comes right down to it, probably somewhere in the $15 to $20 million a year range for however many years he's going to be there. But I mean, I would say Pittsburgh and Green Bay would be two teams right now that are with their windows closing quite a bit. Pittsburgh maybe a little more than Green Bay, that both those teams could use a player of J.J. Watt's caliber for sure.
So just to go back to Ian's point, we were talking about the top 100. 2013, he was ranked #5 out of the top 100. 2014, ranked #12. 2015, #1. 2016, #3. 2017, this is where he started to head a little downhill again. When you're ranked one of the top 100 players, you're not really going downhill. But in J.J. Watt's case, for his personal case, I guess you could kind of make that argument that he is. #35, 2017, 2018, #84, 2019, #12, and 2020, _45. Yes, it was an injury-riddled season and has been for the previous ever since he was below #10. He was also ranked he was also named Defensive Player of the Year by the AP 2012, 2014, and 2015. Was also named NFL Walter Peyton Walter Peyton Man of the Year as well. Something else that I want to go back to Larry's point on. I wanted to follow up on what DeLuca has said earlier, but we'll get to that in a second. But with Larry, you have to think about with Green Bay how just a disaster that franchise is. And the reason why I say a disaster is because they have to figure out what they're going to do with their quarterback first. There is a lot of uncertainty, regardless of what Aaron Rodgers says. Oh, well, I was just heated after the NFC Championship game. Understandable. Completely understandable. But
you're talking about the drafting of Jordan Love. Is that what you're referring to,
yeah,
Joey?
I am 100% referring to that. And the reason why is because he needs help. He needs help on the wide receiver part. Okay, he needs help on the outside, and the only thing he has is Devontae Adams. So they go back, and no, seriously, they do, because guess what?
I disagree.
Devontae Adams.
Go ahead, Joey. I disagree.
How long did it take for Marquez Valdez-Scantling to get going? Alan Lazard, how many drop catches has he had? So, you need someone that could eventually overtake. And also, Davante Adams has also had a lot of injury history as well. So you kind of need another number 2 outside there to give him some help. And unfortunately, what did they do in round 1 last year? They drafted his most likely successor. I'm not really too happy about that. And I also believe, too, I personally say that they also dumped a lot of money. This is also a franchise that does not dump a lot of money, okay, into really anything, okay? They just not too long ago, right? Ted Thompson did pass away, right? A few weeks ago, okay? He was the one that, there was a lot of uncertainty with on the defensive side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball. Then he retired, and then certain things came in. Then ownership kind of allowed, the paychecks to roll through. Exhibit A, Preston Smith. Exhibit B, Zardaria Smith as well. So they kind of have some, some things there, some pieces there. Would they throw that money out to J.J. Watt, and especially at age 32? No, I don't think so. I think that he's probably going to go either to Pittsburgh, join forces with his brother, or we might see a little sleeper team that could potentially be in the cards. I don't know, guys. Let's maybe look at Seattle, for instance. It could be. It's a possibility. Ian Schraier, you disagree with me. Let's hear it.
I initially disagree with you because I think even though your points are valid regarding Alan Lazard and Marquez Valdes-Scantling, they still have to re-sign Aaron Jones. So that's a huge piece of it. He's going to require a chunk of money. Unless they could find a way to backload it. Maybe they go after one of the wide receivers in the free agent class then, Joey. Maybe. But how much money are guys like Chris Godwin, Juju Smith-Schuster, Allen Robinson going to demand? These guys are going to demand top of the line wide receiver money. You're going to start really digging into the Corey Davises, and I'm not trying to take anything away from him. He has not to a day lived up to any part of that money that he made because he was a top 5 draft pick. Right. The guy was drafted 4th or 5th overall by the Titans and at a Western Michigan, and the guy has never lived up to a penny of his rookie contract. So that offense has, I would do as little as possible to break up that offense or bring in a personality that has a hard time playing alongside a team. Now, I'm not saying that Godwin, we know Allen Robinson and his issues with Chicago. We knew his issues with Jacksonville. I don't know if that's at a point where maybe you want to bring Lazard back on a team-friendly contract to come be Davante's number 2 and really break up any part of that explosive offense. I'm not so sure I'd want to really rehash any of that. You got to bring Aaron Jones back, like we said. He's going to cost a fortune. So unless you find a way to backload it, maybe you could figure a way to bring in J.J. Watt that way, but I wouldn't touch anything with that offense right now. Especially coming off the year that they have.
Well, the problem is that unfortunately they couldn't get to the Super Bowl yet again. Aaron Rodgers is 1-4 in Super Bowl in NFC Championship appearances, and his first one obviously was back in 2010. On the road, and this was, again, his first home NFC Championship game, and he was lit up by Tom Brady.
That's right, he was.
Let's close this out. Rob DeLuca, your final thoughts on this?
Yeah, Joey, I'm just going to quickly piggyback off of that one. People want to put him in the GOAT conversation? For what?
Wow.
Wait. Hold on. Is he talking about Rodgers or are you talking about what?
Rodgers. People want to put Rodgers in the GOAT conversation? Why?
Let me ask you a question, DeLuca. Sure. You know what? You don't want to call him that he doesn't belong in the greatest of all time discussion. When you think of your generation, right? When we think of Brady, no problem, Joey. When you think of Brady's generation, the generation of TB12, and you think of the top 5, I could really think of the top 4 greatest quarterbacks of that generation, and 3 of them, including one of them, is the greatest of all time. So you've got Brady.
Yes, I do.
Peyton.
That's correct.
Brees.
Yes.
Rodgers.
You see,
wow.
Sorry.
No way.
Sorry.
No way.
I'm not saying
no way.
Right, no. He possibly could be the 4th. But why is that GOAT conversation? Why?
Do you think Aaron Rodgers is a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Oh, certainly, but many players are that aren't even close to the GOAT.
Do you think do you think that Aaron Rodgers is at the same level as Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady?
I'd put him in the tier directly below. I think those three we listed are in their own level of godliness.
Okay, so my last point to that, then I'll finish with this, DeLuca. If he goes in the tier below, and even if he's in the tier below by himself, I'm curious to know who would you put in that tier below along with Rodgers?
Not many people, because I'm not saying he's not.
But then who?
I wouldn't put him in the greatest of all time conversation. I think Patrick Mahomes is already flirting with Aaron Rodgers tier right now, but he's not.
But I wouldn't put him in the same generation of quarterbacks, though.
But if he continues on this pace that he's on, he will get there. And if he continues to win a couple more, then we potentially discuss him moving up. But I just don't. Because I knew a lot of Packers fans growing up. They overrated this man. Like, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He has one ring, and he has choked away 4 other games.
Okay, so I don't mean to interrupt you, DeLuca, because we can keep going on with this, but I just wanted to say one final point before we bring Tyler Adele in, if he's ready. I see him. He is down there. He's good to go. Okay, so we're going to bring him in a few minutes early. But one thing I want to bring in here, or I want to say here, and we'll actually bring him in here, because actually I want to hear what Tyler has to say with that as well. We're going to get him in here in just a moment. Right now, I want to bring him in here. Hold on one moment. Hang on. We just have to. Oh, okay. So the reason why is because Tyler has the admin access, so he's going to be. We're gonna do it a little bit that way, just for now. But so one point here with DeLuca. So the reason why that I completely disagree with you here is because, and that means that Drew Brees has to be in the same exact category as Rodgers. And I'll tell you why. Because Drew Brees only has one ring as well, and he could not get over that hump as well out of the NFC Championship. There would be times that he could not even get out of the NFC divisional round. He couldn't get out of the wild card round. Okay? Let's not forget, just last year, he got pummeled by Minnesota. He got pummeled by Minnesota. Okay, I wasn't looking to bring a political conversation. That's not where I was going, folks. Okay, but it fit right in here. I want to bring in Tyler Adele here just to conclude this. And Tyler, I need to hear your thoughts on what DeLuca had to say, because I think of Minnesota when you lose like that, and you also don't have a ring. So how do you not have Aaron Rodgers in there? Tyler, where do you rank Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know how you don't have him in there. I can see the argument from both sides. I really can. But, it's just the numbers that Rodgers is consistently putting up. And, it's the same. There's a standard that falls with most teams in this league. It's not, take the Giants, for example. Daniel Jones can be a halfway decent quarterback in the future, but it's not his fault if the team is not providing him with the weapons he needs.
That's it. There you go. You do have a point there, no doubt about it. The Packers have been managed poorly.
And look, don't get me wrong. Aaron Rodgers is still working with Devontae Adams, an amazing receiver, probably top 3, if not the top.
He's a cheat code right now.
But you throw the one guy all game, you're going to get exposed eventually. You need to have a little bit. And that's honestly what made the Patriots so great with Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola. They weren't top 5 receivers in the league, but he had options. You know what I'm saying? He's got one option.
Right. And not only that, too, but this also brings me back to the point where you would have these players, right, that not only did they simply didn't fit in, they didn't do whatever, but the problem that I had here was that during the Ted Thompson era, right, when he was general manager, and you also had ownership that simply did not give him the access to sign guys defensively. We also remember just a few years ago, right, that the Green Bay defense was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, just as bad as the 2014 New Orleans Saints.
Last year, the Green Bay Packers had easily a bottom 5 defense in the NFL. They didn't belong on the same field with the 49ers last year at all.
Yeah. And I want to bring this in here, DeLuca.
That's my father.
Who is that?
My father.
That is your dad. So I agree on Brees belongs with Rodgers. Brady class alone.
It's true. My dad is absolutely right. He is in a class of, I agree.
People
say the GOAT discussion. What discussion are we really having? We're literally talking about the discussion of who is the second best of all time. That is literally the only discussion that there is.
Peyton Manning is the second best, probably.
There you go. And there you go. So it's like, really, what discussion are we even having anymore?
Well, I want to jump back to the Rodgers point here for a second, because what Tyler had said makes perfect sense, number one, about the numbers that he consistently put up year after year. But also, let's keep in mind, yes, he's 1-4 in NFC Championship games. Fine. But let's look at him just from a status of clutch. And when this guy came in, had the ball, 2 minutes to go. Let's go back to the NFC Championship game for a second. The reason that instead of going for the touchdown on 4th down and trying to get the 2-point conversion to pull it within a 3-point game, the reason they kicked the field goal was because good teams not even good teams, great teams in a game that matters gets the stop no matter who the quarterback is on the other side. Well, whether it's Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, it does not matter. The elite teams get the stop when it matters. So you potentially, if you didn't even have to get the stop the first time, you get it the second time, you're giving Aaron Rodgers the ball with no timeouts, grant you, but a minute and a half left on the clock to go down the field and score.
I agree that, that's too much.
I trust Aaron Rodgers in that spot to go down the field and score a touchdown just because he's done it so many times before.
Oh, he would.
That's what puts him, Brees, Peyton, Brady, even though Brady's in a class by himself, he is the GOAT, but that to me is what puts them, because they're the same generation of quarterback, that's what puts that all together for me.
Yeah, no, I completely see that point. It's just, when you grow up with a lot of Packers fans screaming in your ear like, oh my God, this guy is gonna surpass Brady. He already is past Brady, and I'm like, what? So it's a personal bias against them for me, because they annoy me to all hell. Because where are we now? He's still only got 1 ring, and that was back in high school. What? That's like 10 years ago now, and we're still here. Come on.
So now we'd officially like to bring in Tyler Adell. So Tyler, welcome to the show. We had a little bit of a soft entrance for you. Now we'll give you the grand entrance.
Oh, wonderful.
So now you'll have this, and obviously you have something up your sleeve for a little bit later on in the program, as we do for you as well. We'll get to that later on. Let's move into the hockey conversation, fellas, because you know what? Hockey is back, and really for all 4 of us, or I know 3 of us, I know Ian's favorite is baseball, but I know mine and DeLuca and Tyler's is really hockey. 2 Islanders fans, a Rangers fan, and a Devils fan. So where is my Islanders towel? Unfortunately, I didn't bring that today, but lucky.
You got a stack of them if you want me to take a walk across the room.
No. That's okay. But let's see where we are in the Mass Mutual East standings, where Boston right now.
Mutual.
That's right. Hey, listen,
anything is better. Anything is better. You want to name the divisions and put a sponsor on them? Fine. Look, I like the sponsors on the helmets now. Just please don't become the NBA or the WNBA and start putting sponsors on the jerseys. Just please don't.
No.
Look, we need to acknowledge something here. The NHL they branded or sponsored all their divisions, which is great. I understand under the circumstances, it brings in a little extra cash. The fact that this league
is still standing.
Forget about still standing. They walked away from a golden opportunity to have the Kanye West division. And I'm very upset.
That might be the greatest drop-in of all time. Why couldn't that be in the video?
The Kanye West division. I love it. Only on the 50th episode, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go.
You're welcome. Happy 50.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Tyler Adell making his appearance once again for the first time since episode number 39. He's been on a whole bunch of these episodes. He's also been there. He is. We've got the
there we go. I got a little renovation going on in here.
There we go. It looks good. Put it a tiny bit down, just so you're right in the middle. Perfect.
Right, ton to not fit. Hold on.
That's right. You're perfect right there. There you go. Perfect. Cool. So the Mass Mutual East Division, Boston in first. They've won 4 straight. Philadelphia is they're in second place with 18 points. Washington is on a 3-game skid. They have 15 points, 6-3-3. The Islanders, they've been in a skid as well. They lost in overtime last night after having a lead. They actually lost in a shootout, 5-4-3, 13 points total. Pittsburgh right below, or actually tied with them, The only reason why that the Islanders are ahead is because of regulation overtime wins 5-3, +2 margin. The New York Rangers have 11 points, 4-5-3. Rob's New Jersey Devils 4-3-2 with 10 points, tied for last with Buffalo, and they own the tiebreaker due to, once again, regulation overtime wins and losses. So this is something that I want to bring up here to Tyler, because Tyler, you work for the New York Islanders, and you are an on-ice technician. And something that I want to bring in here is, we had at the top of the show that that New York State is actually going to be welcoming 10% capacity in all buildings. That does include the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum at 1391 exactly, from what the New York Islanders had released, and also Newsday's Andrew Gross has released as well. But for you working in a building that has 0 fans and tarps over the seats, to see now 1,391 most likely rabid fans heading in with masks, what is it going to look like for you to see up above for the first time in almost a year that fans will be in the building?
Yeah, it's good. It's gonna be weird. I think we've all kind of unintentionally adjusted to this normal of no fans and piped in sounds. So it's gonna be nice and refreshing. It's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I think, whether it's a full house of 13,917 or whether it's just 10 people, it's just nice that it just shows that we're moving in the right direction as a state.
Ian Schraier, go ahead with your question to Tyler, because I know that you actually had a couple of things for him personally before.
No, not personally, but no, my questions are really related, and I want to kind of go back to Tyler's predictions that he made, that he had released on the Eastern Observer website, when he had released who we thought. And again, we're only 20% of the way through the season, but I kind of want to look, as we look back on the first almost quarter of the NHL season, and kind of get your thoughts on what you've seen so far. If I recall correctly, in your predictions, you had, in no particular order, you had the top half who would make the playoffs being the Bruins, the Capitals, the Islanders, and the Rangers, and then the teams that would miss the cut would be the Flyers, Penguins, Sabres, and Devils. Considering what you've seen so far, I know I'm not really asking you too much about the Islanders here, but considering what you've seen from the Flyers so far and how well the Flyers are playing, are you a little surprised, or is the, based on where we are in the season so far, Tyler, is the division kind of shaking out how you saw it?
It's kind of a little bit of both. I don't want to say I'm terribly surprised. Look, like you said, I put in this particular order, I had the Boston is the 1, which is looking good so far. The Islanders in 2, Rangers at 3. The Rangers are going to let me down, and the Capitals. So 3 of the 4 teams I picked are in there. So I like my odds so far.
Mm-hmm.
The Flyers, I want to say I'm shocked with how well they're playing. I really can't be. They went on some kind of demonized hot streak going into the back half of the season last year, and then being shut down by COVID seemed to have killed a little bit of their momentum. Pittsburgh, I think, we had said already, it seemed as if they were going to start to be on the decline. I can't really account for them too much in here. Looking back at my notes, was the original division alignment didn't even have Pittsburgh with us.
Right.
Going back to what I had them as the 2 seed in what's now the division housing Tampa, St. Louis, and friends. So I'm still wrong, regardless of where I had them.
Sure.
20% through the year. This is kind of where I thought they could be, but as a fan, this is why I wanted them to be higher. But realistically, I figured if they were going to be any higher than this, it would be no more than the 3 spot. I think right now the Islanders are in a position where, until they have the capability cap-wise to go get themselves an elite scorer or an elite winger to play with Barzal, it's going to be tough. I think they've maxed out their potential. I think right now what you see is what you get. And what you see is they're a team that could make the conference finals, and if they get a Stanley Cup appearance from them, once they hit the conference finals, is a crapshoot. It's hit or miss, and then I guess it all comes down to who they play in the Cup finals at that point, and how well they would normally match up against them in a regular season. I think it's safe to say this is probably where they should be. Obviously, certain things aren't helping. So, Sorokin He's obviously not had the easiest start to an NHL career. But he's also not got the luxury of having Bridgeport in his back pocket, like his very good buddy across the river, Igor Shesterkin had.
Sure.
He got, everybody forgets when Igor was in Hartford, he got obliterated his first few games down there. He finally started to, learn his angles, figure things out, and he was fine. He's going to be a top 5 goalie in the league eventually, and I hope I can say the same for Sorokin. We'll figure that out on episode 500-ish, but I think under the circumstances, I don't think the Islanders are as bad as people like to. Obviously, as me and Joe probably see on Facebook, destroy them.
Yeah, sure. I think we can say that last year in the Islanders case, and then having 2 Islander fans here with us, Tyler, you and Joey being the other, that we could say that the Islanders for sure were playing with house money last year. We knew how important the J.G. Pageau move was for them because we knew that he was going to be on the block. We knew that Ottawa was ready just to kind of clean house and start fresh and start over. So Pageau would have been that great player just to put on there to finally put another pure scorer on the ice with Barzal. But I think players so far like Anders Lee have really earned those dollars. I think Jordan Eberle's gotten out to a lot better of a start than from kind of how he left off last year in the playoffs, where Eberle just struggled to find the net every which way but up. So is it just Sorokin? I mean, obviously Varlamov's off to a great start to the year. So what has been because I guess with the Islanders is that you expect this team to be able to score. Obviously, Beauvillier is out still, but what is this team's biggest Achilles heel right now that's really preventing them from climbing to the upper echelon, along with the Bruins and the Caps?
The only answer I can legitimately give you is I don't know. Obviously, for a long time, I'm not going to mention any names here. I don't feel like name dropping, but when the special teams were run by Scott Gomez, it was terrible. Yeah, so I'm glad Joe caught on to that. Look, it was just not a good special teams unit, and I don't know if it's his fault or if it's just that it was hard to build the chemistry. But it's then even before Scott Gomez, you can name every single special teams coach that's ever walked through here. Brendan Thompson, Doug Waite started as a special teams coach. I mean, it's never. They never figured it out. This year, special teams are actually doing pretty well. The penalty kill is doing well. I think, if I'm correct, they only have 3 goals against on the penalty kill. It's by the Islanders standards, that's golden. Yeah. The power play, the power play is a very misleading number stat wise, especially in the Islanders case. The Islanders are a team. And Joe will probably back me up on this one, where they could have 10 power plays in the night and register. What do you think, Joe? 6, 5 shots? Yeah, and now they're registering 4 or 5 shots per power play. So they're making them work now.
Right. See, but the problem here is, and I hate to say it for all the Islanders fans that are out there watching this right now, and we've put this in the groups. Tyler knows this, and the sad reality is that, remember, there's $8 million that's floating between Bridgeport, the waivers, and also the big league club. Okay, $8 million that you most likely can, you can divvy up that money like 5 different ways, and you could also get. You can get, I don't want to call him an elite scorer, but you can get someone that could potentially, sub in for, let's say, I don't know, a Jordan Eberle who may be having an off series. And now you're putting in Josh Bailey, who is having a very difficult start. And we are hearing all of the boo birds with Josh Bailey. And, the biggest thing here is that everyone's getting on his case all over again. And we have to realize he is the longest tenured New York Islander. I'm no longer giving him any grief. I'm not. He's finally got his footing under him. But Tyler said it perfectly, is that there are times when this special teams is either a flash in the pan where they do really, really well, and then they go completely ice cold for nearly a half a season. Or they do great and they stay great. It's one or the other. It's never really a consistent basis on both sides. Ever since Barry Trotz has come in, the PK has been, a little bit better. Power play has never been there. But again, the biggest point that I want to bring here is that what Tyler said earlier, the $8 million is so key. And now that this team is so cash strapped, I can't believe I'm saying this, but they're cash strapped in a good way for the first time in a very long time. Rob DeLuca and Ian Schraier. I want to move on here with, from the New York Islanders, and I want to stay with the Eastern Division or the Mass Mutual Eastern Division, if you will. And, again, I think the biggest thing here is that Washington right now, you would think that they are a very old team, but yes, they are on a 3-game losing skid, but they've also 6-3-3 is pretty good to start.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah,
and again, it is an abbreviated 48-game season. It is, no doubt. Okay,
56.
56. Excuse me, 56. But we look at Washington when we look at Pittsburgh, where they are both supposed to be old and down and out. This is something that I want to throw to DeLuca first with. Sure. And we remember we were talking about Jim Rutherford getting the axe, or that's what they originally said first, and then they realized that it was he stepped down. He stepped down. Right, exactly. But now we're starting to hear some rumors saying that there was some chatter that he was on the phone with some teams saying, okay, Chris Letang is available. Mario Lemieux put the kibosh on that in a matter of 10 seconds. 6-5-1 right now. They just won in a shootout yesterday. Again, a win is a win. But Rob DeLuca, your thoughts, where there's now chatter that the Montreal Canadiens inquired about Sidney Crosby's services. Does this team ever move forward? And something else too, I don't mean to stop and whatever. We also have to realize that Wayne Gretzky was traded, which means that anyone can be traded. Rob DeLuca, let's go.
Anyone can absolutely be traded. It doesn't mean they will be traded. Something tells me that this is nothing more than some smoke. I do not see Sidney Crosby being moved whatsoever. They're gonna ride out these old guys until their contracts expire. Whether they get signed back after that or not is another question.
I agree.
That's a question for another time. I don't know. They're going to be pretty darn old by then, especially Crosby. He'll be in his mid 30s by then. And it's honestly, Sidney Crosby's not being traded. It's as simple as that. What's going on in Pittsburgh right now is very strange, but they finally figured it out. Ronnie Hextall going to be the general manager, and Brian Burke going to be the president of hockey operations. I got to be honest, that one surprised me a little bit. So now he comes off the air as a Sportsnet analyst, and comes back into the NHL world as a executive for the Penguins. So we will see where the Penguins go from here. I also, like Tyler, did have the Pittsburgh Penguins missing this year's playoffs. Mm-hmm. So we will have to see if they can keep this string of good play up. But I don't know that they will. That's the thing. I personally don't believe so. I'm going to stick by my prediction and say they're still not going to make it. So we will just have to wait and see.
There's also talk, too, right before we get to Ian Schraier, there's also some talk, too, some rumors, chatter, that Pittsburgh is looking to acquire or inquire about a veteran goaltender. Ian Schraier, your thoughts on Pittsburgh as a whole and where they are before we get to Tyler Adele?
I'm not sure really where they would turn at this point, really, for a veteran goalie. I know they're not happy with the job Tristan Jarry's doing, and I'm sure looking at what's going on with Ottawa that they're not really all that upset that they didn't resign Matt Murray either. But I think that the top half of the East Division is playing out almost exactly as I think, from the time that we previewed this entire season, that we expected it to go. I mean, look, people wanted to throw the book at David Pastrnak and say, oh, he had a horrible postseason. Maybe, I don't want to say the best years are behind him, but maybe we're finally starting to witness a little bit of a decline in Pasta's play. Okay, yeah, they're 9-1-2. How much is he really declining? Or look at the job that, we know AV. We know Alain Vigneault from his days with the Rangers. We know that he's an offensive guru. Except for when it comes to playing in Game 7 against the finals and against Boston in the Cup final. But when you think of the Voracek line and you're thinking of what Kevin Hayes is doing right now for that team, Carter Hart doesn't even have to play well, and this team scores enough goals just to beat you every single night. And then you've got the Islanders. Again, not surprised. Am I a little underwhelmed by their play? Yeah. I mean, look, credit to Barzy on the goal last night. You know, the circus goal that he scored.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, look. I mean, this team. Look. I mean, the thing about the Islanders is they're gonna score in waves. It seems like, and this really just goes back with the Islanders from last year. Is that they got hot at the right time, and they just kind of rode the coattails of that hot wave. And there's no reason to think that maybe they couldn't do it again. They've got enough players on that team. Look, they returned, with the exception of Devon Taves, they returned everybody. I find it hard to believe that a team can go to the Eastern Conference Final with almost that whole team one year and then miss it the next year or become a first-round exit team. Listen, they've got the right guy behind the bench. So I'd be shocked if at this point, really, it's hard to say, because you know what, the Flyers are playing so well, but again, we're only 20% of the way through the season. But I would be shocked maybe if they don't finish in the 3 spot. I really would. I think they can overtake Washington if they hit that hot streak in the right time.
Tyler Riddell, bring up your point. I know you were trying to say something once. Ian,
I'm sorry about that, Tyler.
No, you're good. I was saying
the goal in person.
Yeah, I was 15 feet behind the net when he scored that. It was probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. All 6 people in the building couldn't believe it. Look, the East Division is going to be an interesting one. Look, the name of the game this year isn't, well, yes, it's winning games and getting points, but the name of the game this year is staying healthy.
Yeah,
I said it regardless of my predictions. The team that stays the healthiest is going to win. And then I'm not talking injuries. I'm talking strictly on the COVID restrictions.
Yeah,
right now, you got 4 teams out right now. You could possibly have a 5th, depending on how much they find in Tampa now with Stamkos going to the COVID list.
Yeah, I wonder what I wonder what this whole COVID thing's like.
Well,
I don't know. I'm only a Devils fan.
Oh, I don't feel bad for you.
I figured you didn't. That's
why. Right now, you got 4 teams out. Though, although those 4 teams are still going to play the same 56 that everybody else is playing, by the time they're back to playing, they're going to have to play catch up. So you can have a team. I can't rattle one off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure, like Dallas, for example, you could have teams. What did they miss the first 8 games of the season, or it's not 8, 6?
I believe.
You come in there. You had teams that were 5-2 or 4-2-1, and Dallas comes in. They're 3-0, but they're still at the bottom of the division. They have to play so much catch up.
Yeah,
where every game becomes a must win. You basically have to, and it's not going to happen. But you have to go into the mindset of, we got to go 56-0. We don't have any other choice.
Yeah,
unrealistic, of course. Now that that's over, as far as the Penguins go, Crosby's not going anywhere. But if Gretzky can be traded, if Brian Leetch can be traded, anybody can be traded.
That's right.
Penguins, I'm sure they'll listen to offers. I don't blame them for listening to offers.
Absolutely.
But I don't see him going anywhere. You know where I see him going? I see him going to the front office after retirement.
Yeah,
I agree.
Oh, yeah. And I personally believe also that Sidney Crosby would be wise to, let's say, invest in a team. I could see him being a Derek Jeter type guy, or even Mario Lemieux type guy as well.
I am with Lemieux. He could buy some of ownership in with Lemieux.
Yeah, sure. I can 100% see that happening.
I just see it in such a way that, and this kind of piggybacks off what Rob and Tyler are saying. I even though, yeah, you're right, Gretzky can be traded, Brian Leetch can be traded. They were traded. I mean, look, besides the trade of Gretzky from Edmonton to LA, a trade that Oilers fans will never forgive. Most of these guys that we've seen have been traded at the tail ends of their careers. But to me, when I think of 87 and 71, when I think of Crosby and Malkin, to me, like, yeah, sure, I think of Henrik Lundqvist as a lifelong New York Ranger. But to me, like, I don't know, and I say this lightly just because they're at the tail end of their careers, but I just don't see those 2 players playing with another franchise in their career at any point. They're like they're basically like the Sons of Pittsburgh. Like, to me, it's more than just maybe, you know what, maybe, well, the Penguins just won't be good for a few years and will deal with the contracts, and then Malkin and Crosby will become got men in the front office. You know, like, to me, I just don't see them going anywhere else. It just makes too much sense just because of what they've done for that franchise. The two of them, really the three if you count Letang, and the guys that have come in and out of that organization over the years, it's always been those two, really, those three. So there's no, I just don't see them going anywhere else.
So let me ask you a question really quick. I'm sorry.
Yep.
But, you know, you're saying that Gretzky was older in his career when he was traded. Leach was older in his career was traded. Crosby was drafted in, correct me if I'm wrong, 2005.
Yeah.
So now this year is year 15.
Yeah,
Next season will be year 16.
Yep.
That's up there for a hockey player.
Yeah.
He won at least one Hart Trophy. He won a Conn Smythe. I believe he won 2, actually. He did win all 3?
No, 3 cups. Well, 3 cups.
Well, won 3 cups.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously he won 3 cups, but I'm pretty sure one of those was a playoff MVP. It might have been 2. I don't want to say he doesn't owe the club anything, but it's not like he's chasing the cup.
No, but I also feel like at the same time
I just don't understand. Like, if he's not chasing a cup, he's got his 3 cups. He's made his money. You can't go near a billboard, almost any hockey billboard, without him being on it somewhere, or even a graphic on an NHL or an NBC Sports Facebook page.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's unless a team is really going to stupidly overpay for a guy who's turning 34 this summer,
100%.
insane.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree.
We agree 100%. Yep.
It is definitely fair. But guys, the extravaganza shall continue on. Tyler Adell is our original host. And, you know, him to come back here with us as a guest not only is really amazing, it's remarkable, but it's also fantastic of him to do so. We want to play a little video here of all of the appearances that Tyler has been a part of.
That's terrifying.
Let's take a peek here.
Maybe with a little more hair when Tyler had it. Or
knock it off.
Let's take a peek here at what we have done throughout the first 50. Here is part 1 of part 2. And we welcome you live to the Primetime Rundown here on Blog Talk Radio, simulcast live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network alongside my guys Tyler Adell, Nick Peyton. I'm your man, Joey Jarzynka. Gentlemen, episode number 20 of the Primetime Rundown comes to you from our homes. We are all under quarantine. We thank God all of us are healthy, but Tyler, welcome back. It's been a while, and we're happy to have you here. It's a little scruffy there. What we see. My goodness.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since the last time I saw you guys in person, but you know, all kidding aside for a minute, because I know you guys know.
Alongside, I can officially say it, alongside my 2 guys, Nick Peyton and Tyler Adell. I'm Joey Jarzynka, and we were just talking off camera about Tyler making a grand entrance, but unfortunately that couldn't work. Otherwise, he would have probably turned blue while waiting.
Yeah, I'm choking right now.
Yeah, exactly. Was traded in full over to Chicago, and ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I'm laughing is because we have another segment of Not a Coke here at 7:03 on Friday night. But going back to that, we'll get to that at our 7:18 update.
But now that things have changed and I can be here, I'm very happy to be here and soon take your job.
There we go. So it's going to be, yeah, exactly. So as he's drinking a Coke can, we are not sponsored by them or getting paid by them by any means. So, yeah, so that's great. Not only are you going to be taking my job, you're also going to be taking whatever money I have in my piggy. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you live to episode number 39 right here on the Eastern Observer. And oh my goodness, I see someone that looks very familiar to all of us here. Ladies and gentlemen, it is episode number 50, and Tyler Adell has one last thing that he wants to do, and I know for a fact we all have to raise our glasses here for a little bit of water cheer, but Tyler does have one last thing to do.
Yes,
with his cup.
Raise a glass. Look, we're moving up. We have cups now. We have shirts.
You have to zoom in. You have to zoom in with that. What you've got there.
I have an Eastern Observer cup that we use on air now, and unfortunately, cue the sad violin music. Not a Coke has to die. So we're gonna pour one out for our phone.
Cheers to 50,
cheers, Tyler,
and
to you,
Tyler being on the show with us, from start all the way till now. Again, I can't appreciate him enough, being also my number 2 with the Eastern Observer. Also his show, the Essential Wrestling Podcast. I know we'll be paying the bills later, but we definitely want to bring this up here now. If it allows me, there we go. The Essential Wrestling Podcast, presented to you by Pro Wrestling Pick'em, Tuesday, February 16th, will be on. It's going to be some good stuff, as always. Tyler, Al Carl, John DeConnie, John Smith, Ryan Joy, Gary Miheffi will bring you the latest of wrestling.
Joey, I love the hair, man. Your hair, it was something.
Well, it's
between that and the air conditioners going off in your basement in the first episode is.
Listen, let me tell you something. July 1st, 2019, down here was very hot. I can tell you that, and Tyler can attest.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was very bad. Yes, and we were down here for quite a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, my number 2, also the host of the Essential Wrestling Podcast, Tyler Riddell. Tyler, thank you so much for coming on here with us, and we will definitely love to have you back on soon, and I know you and I will be talking soon enough.
Yeah, probably within the hour.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks again, Tyler. We'll see. We'll speak to you soon. All right, fellas. So really, really good stuff. Now, as we are going to bring in, of course, we've got these 2 guys here with us that we're going to. Oh, hold on. We have to redo this one here. There we go. we've got 5 squads.
Oh man!
Wow. Now that. I'm getting not done here.
What?
This is a celebration.
Yeah. 50 episodes, baby. Let me give you my email address. It's mcalloway@mets.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Casey Bryant, Larry Protakowicz are with us here. That is the greatest open I think that we have ever had through 50 episodes on this show. That is fantastic. That is great. And on top of it, too, he's even got a Mets jersey on. What is that, Lindor?
Yeah, this is actually a Alonzo, but I was doing my Mickey Callaway impression. I know it's been a few weeks since I've been on the show, so just wanted to
my goodness.
You can text me or email me, whatever you need.
Coming up next, Casey Bryant with his Tony D'Angelo impression.
No comment. I want to be invited back. No comment.
Casey Bryant, how are you, buddy?
If we were doing a jersey segment, I've only got like 85 to choose from here. I would go and grab one. Like, I feel completely outclassed in that department now. Well, I don't have an Eastern Observer polo, and I'm not a regular, so I don't. I wanted to match, so I went white.
Oh, well, now we're gonna have to get you one. Oh my goodness!
Everyone gets polos. Polos for everyone. You get a polo. You get a polo. You get a polo. Everybody gets a polo.
Oh my gosh! Thank you very much for that laugh, guys. That really is just amazing. And we have to just bring up also. Can't thank Bobby enough. Congrats on episode number 50. Thank you very much for that. And of course, we'd love to close out our show with our 2 most favorite guests that come on here all the time. And Larry and Casey, we can't thank you enough for coming on here and concluding our episode number 50 here with us on our little extravaganza. And for those that do not know or are just joining us now, we did say when we played Tyler's video that video that we played with him was part 1 of 2. So we've got 1 more to go with Casey and Larry included in there as well that we've been working on with this. And, me, Ian, and DeLuca have been working on this for a little bit. So we can't wait to play it for you and also for them 2 on the bottom as well. Going to be tons of fun. Guys, let's do this. Let's do this and let's close out this half hour. Andrew Benintendi traded to Kansas City in a 3-team deal. Mets and Boston were also included in that deal as well. Ian Schraier, Andrew Benintendi going to Kansas City. What impact does he make?
Look, credit to Kansas City, though. I think that they're going to be a competitive team. They're not going to be able to match up really with the Indians, the Twins, and the White Sox in that division. But I think they're going to be a competitive team over the course of a 162 game season now with a solid outfield that has Andrew Benintendi and Whit Merrifield. I know there were Met fans that were hoping that when the 3-team trade was announced with Kansas City and Boston, that they were hoping Whit Merrifield was coming to New York, myself included. But yeah, it just appears that the full outfield that won the World Series for the Red Sox only a couple of years ago is now going to be all but broken up in just a matter of days, depending if Jackie Bradley Jr. doesn't come back, because now Andrew Benintendi's in Kansas City and Mookie Betts is in L.A. And right now, the projection for the Red Sox is 80 wins so far right now this year, which I think is fourth best in the AL East. It's just, for me, I think that's a real frothy number for the Red Sox. Right now, they're just in the wake of a rebuild. I know they got Franchi Cordero back, who's a nice little role-playing outfielder for them that will kind of fit in nicely in left or center for them now that Benintendi's gone. But the key for the Red Sox is the key as it was last year. How will the pitching hold up? What's going to happen with Chris Sale's arm? Can Eduardo Rodriguez rebound off of his injury? What could be expected from Nate Eovaldi, Garrett Richards? I mean, this is a team. I mean, look, if I was a betting man, I don't want to really say if I was a betting man, but 80 wins seems like a real heavy number for the Red Sox with what they have right now in their arsenal. I mean, granted, look, they still got guys like Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts and, and players like that can make a difference offensively. But, I mean, to me, right now, the AL East is a 2-team race, or maybe even one at this point with the Yankees, and the Blue Jays may be a close second.
Casey Bryant, Larry Protakowicz, take it away, fellas.
I think that I saw Brock Holt posted on Instagram where it's just like, wow, the Red Sox had Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley, and Andrew Benintendi all in the same outfield. That team must have been pretty good. Like, at this point, everyone in baseball is clowning the Red Sox, and rightfully so, because when they posted that tweet celebrating their luxury tax reset, that's when they cemented themselves as a clown organization. Like, all that was missing was they should have just changed their Twitter Avi to, like, I don't know, Trot Nixon with a giant clown nose and a big wig. Because, goodness gracious, what happened to the Red Sox of old that would just spend the Theo Epstein era Red Sox are done. And I don't know what changed for this organization structurally, but this is as big a disaster as the Bobby Valentine era when it comes to Boston Red Sox. And we're talking about 80 wins. I think 70 would be hard to get for Boston, because you have to take into the only saving grace for them is that Tampa got worse and Baltimore is still Baltimore. But at the same time, Toronto is still competitive. Tampa is still going to be competitive. They're not going to be great, but they're going to be competitive. And the Yankees are debatably the best team in the American League. The Red Sox have done nothing to get better in this offseason, and they had a pitching staff that couldn't get them through 60 games last season. They had who even is starting? Let's assume Eduardo Ramirez comes back and he's all of a sudden he can start again. Magically, his heart heals and he can take the field again. So he's your number 1 starter. Who's your number 2 starter? Is it Eovaldi?
Chris Sale at this point, if he can even throw.
Can he be counted on for a number 2 start? No. He's in the same boat as Noah Syndergaard, where, like, it would be great, but who's to say? Can Nate Eovaldi be consistent? Can Martin Perez be consistent? There's nothing to this Red Sox team. They're a nothing burger team.
Listen, and Larry, I don't mean to interrupt you for just 1 second, but Casey, you said that Baltimore's going to be Baltimore. Listen, they signed quality guys, King Felix and also Freddie Galvis. Come on now, what's the matter with you?
But they lost Gary Thorne. So
I mean, look, the Orioles will have the all 2005 team. There's no doubt about that.
Larry Protakowicz.
Yeah, I'm with Casey here. You fire Gary Thorne. I hope you all suffer.
Larry, go ahead. Don't interrupt the man, DeLuca.
I have to agree 100%. The Boston Red Sox they're the laughingstock of the AL East, and that includes the Baltimore Orioles. This was a team that spent money, brought in top players, brought in top talent, and always competed. And now they're worse than a middle of the road team, right? Pacoda has them at 80 and 82. I'm with Casey. This is more of a 70-something win team. Toronto got better. The Rays are better than them, and then there's, of course, the Yankees.
Yeah,
that was music to my ear. All this Boston Red Sox slander is music to my ear.
Look, you know what? I'm going to jump in there for a second. I do think, though, that the Blue Jays can upend the Yankees. It really all depends for the Yankees on two things. And we say this week after week. And Joey, you want to shake your head at me? Shake your head at me.
I'm not shaking my head.
No, but look, to me, it comes down to two things. Can Judge and Stanton stay healthy? Okay. If so, I don't think there's a question about it. And two, will the Yankees have a starting rotation that they can depend on?
Exactly.
Do they have 5 starters they can roll out there? Look, I'm happy. I'm happy they got. Look, I think Corey Kluber is a great addition. I think that, you know, if you can get anything out of Luis Severino right now, that's a plus. But who else are you turning to in that rotation right now? Like, looks like James Paxton's not coming back. Tanaka's back.
Domingo Germán.
What?
Domingo Germán.
Right. Domingo Germán. James Montgomery. Like where do we want to go?
Yeah, I mean, look,
Garcia,
Jordan Montgomery.
I'm sorry.
Montgomery. Yeah, if I could come in here, yeah. Look, there's a lot of question marks with the Yankees. It comes down to that rotation, and it comes down to the 2 power hitters if they stay healthy. If they do, you're probably right, Ian. If not, it is up in the air. I have to agree. Yeah. About the Benintendi trade, obviously a great move for Kansas City. It makes me curious, though. It's clear the Red Sox need to enter a rebuild, but you always got to have that, like, 1 or 2 players you build around. So I'm wondering if this trade, it wasn't just also a play to try to get Jackie Bradley Jr. back, because he's still floating out there, and these teams are reporting next week. So
there was a report, though, DeLuca. I forgot who said that there was a real good chance to add to your point that said that JBJ, this opens the door for JBJ to return. Yeah. But there was also a reporter in Boston who said the chances are rather nominal that JBJ is going to return to Boston.
Well, because
as Mets fans,
want to go there.
In desperate need of a center fielder, we've got 3 Mets fans on the show. How do you like your chances?
I mean, first, can we maybe trade for Chris Bryant and Kyle Hendricks or Eugenio Suarez and Sonny Gray first? Because that seems like that's where the Mets' attention is right now. So.
Sonny Gray can't handle New York.
That's what I said. That's what I've said.
Look, I'll take him as a 4-starter all day.
Casey Bryant.
Well, first off, Sonny Gray can't handle New York. Queens isn't New York. So
he's got a point.
You think if you can't handle playing under the bright lights of New York Mets dome, shame on you. That's a you problem. But as far as Brandon Nimmo, we don't really need Jackie Bradley Jr. because Brandon Nimmo is apparently the 86th best player in the MLB above Giancarlo Stanton, like by 10 spots. So, guys, Brandon Nimmo by the MLB Network was ranked the 5th best center fielder. There's no one better, guys. Come on.
I would love to just throw my phone at my computer screen right now so badly after that comment. I really would.
Let me just throw 1 point out there. All right. Trout, Willie Mays, Brandon Nimmo. Mic drop.
Wait, no, Casey. Wait, if you
mic drop, Casey.
Ian, if you want to get Casey back, just ask him about his favorite player, Tomas Nido.
I support Nito after all the Bauer stuff, after Bob Nightingale with the false report, but I don't want to get too I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Go ahead, Joey. We've gotten so far off track.
Guys, the New York Mets have they've inquired about Oakland Athletics third baseman Matt Chapman because JD Davis might not be the answer at the hot corner. Does this come to fruition at all?
No, absolutely not. Because you know who the source was that released it? Craig Carton was the one who was the source who said that the Mets are supposedly going after Matt Chapman. He's also the same person that agreed with Bob Nightingale when the report came out that the Mets were signing Trevor Bauer. He's also the same person that went on WFAN today with Moose and Maggie and basically threw Andy Martino to the Wolves. Though I'm not hating him for doing that. Okay? But look, right now the Mets are seeking out options to address third base and address starting pitching. Because right now, look, in my opinion, after Jacob deGrom and Cookie Carrasco, I don't even want to throw Stroman in the mix yet because look, Stroman is a full year out of the league. He also, the year before when he got traded to the Mets, really, I mean, even though he didn't have such a good defense behind him, he needs to prove first and foremost that he can regain the form after opting out the year before. So to me, 3, 4, 5 right now in that Mets rotation is a big question mark. I would feel a little better about Marcus Stroman, even though he's a former #1 pitcher for the Blue Jays, as a #4 starter than like a #3. Look, they're hoping to get Syndergaard back. It seems like even ahead of schedule at this point. But with regards to, starting pitching, that's why I'm thinking like a Sonny Gray or a Kyle Hendricks. I have no issues having Stroman be my #3 if I have a Sonny Gray or a Kyle Hendricks with him at #4. And then, you have David Peterson, or if you're going to look to sign a James Paxton at #5. They starting pitching, and Sandy has already said it, is the #1 thing right now, is the #1 priority for them, aside from maybe signing a center fielder. And I think they're still holding out hope for JBJ because they signed Albert Almora to such a small 1-year, $1.25 million deal. Like, he didn't get any kind of long-term deal to be like, you're our center fielder, you can't swing the bat. Okay. So for the Mets, yeah, I mean, he's just showing, he's really implying more and more, Sandy Alderson is, and the Mets front office, that JD Davis is not the answer, at least defensively at third base. And I really wouldn't be surprised at this point. I know they keep saying that the Cubs have to be convinced and the Reds have to be convinced, and the Mets don't, and they want the Mets to part ways with Francisco Alvarez, one of their top prospects, one of their top catching prospects. The Mets have said, we're not going to trade him. But I still think that the Mets are going to try and do everything they can right now, because it seems like all their attention right now is focused on finding more pitching, more starting pitching, more bullpen help, and a third baseman.
So I want to just throw this one thing in here to the 3 Mets fans in the room. Albert Almora was listed at #5. What do you guys think of that? I want to start with Casey Bryant on that one. So are you going to change, like, for your David Wright jersey, are you going to strip that off and put Almora Jr. on it?
So I knew a guy in middle school. This is, I swear to God, a true story. He had a Jose Reyes jersey, right? And in 2009, Omir Santos hit a game-winning home run off of Jonathan Papelbon.
I was there. Yep.
Yeah.
I was there.
So the next day, he came in with duct tape over his Reyes jersey to form a 9 instead of a 7. Omir Santos on the back. And I've always said that's the greatest job I've ever seen done of any jersey, to go from Jose Reyes, who at the time was still an elite player, to Omir Santos, is the greatest 180 I've ever seen. But that's aside the point. The #5 thing is just, I'm sure, a spring training.
Oh no, I know.
Placeholder, because no one else is wearing 5 ever again.
Look at how long they went with no one wearing, Keith Hernandez's number. There's certain players who have just had that special treatment. Wright's a different player than that.
Right. I think that new ownership will help that too, because the Wilpons didn't give a crap about who wore what. They didn't want to retire anyone's number. So I think
Yatsen included.
Yeah. So I think that new ownership will kind of help the tradition be carried out.
So now I want to move on here, guys, as we've got, roughly about 15 more minutes to go here on the show. Nolan Arenado was traded actually not too long after our show concluded a couple of weeks ago. And, it's really, I don't know what it is, if it's a hex on us where, breaking news just continues to happen. Maybe, that was one of the reasons why we pushed it back. Maybe, maybe something happens.
Maybe something could happen.
Say it again.
So, yeah, exactly. Maybe something happened. But
Yeah.
9:06.
You never know.
9:06. I'm telling you, something at 9:06 going to happen.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. But the St. Louis Cardinals acquired third baseman from the Colorado Rockies, Nolan Arenado. Guys, how does this impact the NL West, and how does this impact the NL Central? Casey Bryant, I want to start with you first.
Well, how does it impact the NL West? It just makes the schedule that much easier for the Padres and Dodgers. The race to 100 wins just gets even tighter between them. The Arizona Diamondbacks are thinking, great, we're an 85-win team instead of an 80-win team. This is great. So as far as the NL West goes, I think that the biggest impact that it will have is that the Colorado Rockies will be signing new free agent Casey Bryant. Now, I'm not sure that you're aware of this, guys, but my men's league team in the Hudson Valley is the Poughkeepsie Rockies. So I already have my own jersey. They wouldn't have to make it for me. I have the hat. I have purple stirrups too. So I could just mosey on into practice and just they wouldn't have to make a New Jersey for me. I'm ready to go. You step me on the field, me and Story on the left side. I mean, that's solid. All right. Nothing's getting by us. I'll be like, yo, Trev, I got this guy. This is my hole, the 5.5 hole. That's mine. All right. Yes. You can take a break. But as far as the NL Central is concerned, I think it makes things hopefully more competitive because the NL Central did not have very good representation in the postseason last year to the point where they were a snooze fest. Like the problem is that they just couldn't score runs at all. So for the Cardinals, who are still very much a nursing home, bringing their big offseason acquisitions are the re-signing of Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina. Like that's what it just shows you the mindset that the Cardinals are in. This is actually a very exciting move for them. So that's a legit move. It does make them a contender for the NL Central, if only by virtue of the fact that everyone else in the NL Central is, the Pirates.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the Chicago Cubs are actually heading in that direction as well because there was also some chatter where Casey Bryant, where Chris Bryant could be.
Now I've got you saying it. I'm in the MLB. I got you saying it now.
Is on the move. Larry Protakowicz. You see Nolan Arenado head east. What goes through your mind as a Mets fan when not only the Mets could be in the playoffs, but they could also compete against the Cardinals at some point?
Absolutely, because you know what, the Cardinals have gotten better. The Cardinals, is it enough to win their division? I'm not sure, but it at least puts them in the race for the wild card. You turn around, you look at the Mets, and Pacoda's got them ranked at 95, 96 wins, but they also have the Braves looking terrible, and that doesn't make any sense. This is still the Braves division. So the Mets likely, if they can't overtake that, are going to be fighting for a wild card. So they'll likely, on a daily basis, will be checking the Cardinals in the standings. So, Arenado to them definitely makes it harder for the Mets because the Cardinals are obviously now a better team. But Arenado, like a bunch of other, good players, Chris Bryant included, are guys who did not play to their potential in 2020. Now, the slugging percentage was down. The hard hit rate was down for Arenado. But, you look at his work from 2015 on, all those years of being an all-star and being a stud, I assume he goes back to those 2019 numbers. A little different not playing in Colorado. But it's something to worry about.
Yeah, it's definitely something to worry about as not only as a Mets fan, but also really as a fan in the National League as well, because you have to look at the San Diego Padres who, have been on the upswing, but also you have to think about it. They could be a flash in the pan or they could be something big too. We're not going to speak about Trevor Bauer now because I know that would really probably get Larry Protakowicz all of the I have a Dodger jersey under this. Sunglasses. What do you have down there?
I have a Dodger jersey under this. Hold on.
Okay. Okay. I gotcha. So we're going to welcome in Bobby Garrenti later on in the program. I know he just typed it here and I could see him on the bottom. We'll welcome you in later in the program as we conclude the show. But let's continue on with the MLB here, as there is also a brand new deal without the universal designated hitter and 7-inning doubleheaders as well. I don't know. I mean, again, we're trying to move forward out of the COVID year. Obviously it's still here, but Casey, let's start with you. What do you think here about this and the 7-inning doubleheader stuff, nonsense, and then also a runner on second base as well?
The runner on second base idea is ludicrous. I think any real baseball person acknowledges that, which is why the MLB is going to run with it, because the MLB is not run by baseball people. They're run by Rob Manfred and his sycophants and yes men. So they're going to roll with that asinine idea, 7-inning doubleheaders. I have less of an objection to that because I acknowledge that we're still in pandemic time. So if it's only just for this year that we're acknowledging that there's going to be more scheduling conflicts, we're going to have to double up on games. We're trying to save legs. We're trying to save arms. I understand it. We're still in that point where we have to be cautious. The lack of a designated hitter in the National League is what really gets my goat, though, because everyone wants it. Everyone. And again, the non-baseball people who run the league acknowledge that everyone wants it and are using it as a bargaining chip to get 3 more stupid teams in the postseason. Because wasn't everyone enthralled seeing the Miami Marlins in the postseason last year? Wasn't everyone just frothing at the mouth to see the Cincinnati Reds put up back-to-back shutouts in the postseason? Why have a 162-game season if you're going to have 8 teams make the playoffs? It doesn't make any sense. So the designated hitter has to come in to play. If you're going to be making all these sweeping rule changes, bring in the double designated hitter so that JD Davis can move from third base to left field where he belongs, selfishly, of course. But like everything else is a joke. I hate that it's staying. I think that baseball is just not in great hands in terms of leadership. But then again, baseball inducted Bud Selig into the Hall of Fame. So I can't wait for Rob Manfred's Hall of Fame induction in 2045.
Yeah, I mean, I really just want to add in there on Casey's point is I understand you want to keep players off the field for extensive periods of time. With the 7-inning doubleheaders, okay, as few of them as there may be, and especially we'll probably have even fewer of them with vaccinations and with players getting healthy, these teams already play on the field for 3 hours. How many games do we have in the regular season that go 4 hours plus?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're worried about putting a runner on second base to start the 10th inning, or you're worried about 7-inning double headers. These guys already play on the field for 3 hours. What do you like, why are we concerned? How many games do we see go 16, 17, 18 innings? I mean, give me a break. I agree with Casey 100%. Even though I'm all for the expanded playoff picture, I really actually do like it. Even though that's a great point though, Casey, about
also you're the guy who was excited about the Reds. You
no, that was not me. That was not me. But to me, like, yeah, everybody wants the DH. Look, I was for the expanded playoffs. I think it actually, yes, it does take a little bit of a competitive factor away from free agency. And I understand that's kind of the bargaining chip on the table. Is the players don't want it, but the owners want it. But then the players want the DH, and the owners are like, okay, if you're going to give us the DH, you're going to give me the expanded playoffs. But cut out with this runner on second 7-inning doubleheaders, because the issue is that we want games to be shorter. You're still on the field for 3 hours.
Yeah,
End of
I'm with Ian and Casey 100% here. This is that those are my 2 biggest problems: is the runner on second and the 7-inning doubleheaders. It takes away from the baseball tradition. Also, here's another thing: fans love when games go into like the 16th, 17th, 18th innings. For the ones that stick it out and actually stay the whole time, it becomes 100% worth it when it finally ends. Usually, because it's just so exciting. Like the slightest mistake at any point could change the whole thing.
But not to jump on Larry again, but one final point is, who goes to a sporting event and roots for it to be over?
Right. Unless you went to the 2004 All-Star game, right? Or the 2002 All-Star game?
Casey,
that ended in a tie?
He's a Buffalo Wild Wings commercial. Yeah.
Larry Protakowicz to close it out.
I know. Buffalo, they do not sponsor the show. I just wanted to let everyone know. So, you know what? Ian brought up a good point. The whole purpose of these rules MLB is talking about is, we want to get the players off the field. You want to get a player off the field? Start by not having a guy on second base to start extra innings. It doesn't make any sense. I think it hurts the competitive aspect of the game, because it actually then matters as to what part of the batting order you're up to when that inning starts. I get it. It's 3, 4, 5 due up in the order. Okay, a guy can hit a home run. But now, if the runner is on second base, I just need to get a base hit. I get a base hit, I'm likely going to score, right? Where it just changes the strategy of the game, where at least, hey, it doesn't matter if no one's on base. If I'm not hitting a home run, we got to get at least 2 hits to bring somebody in.
Yeah.
So it changes that, and what the owners are doing with holding the DH over their head is just terrible. Having a DH is better for the fans. The fans want it. It's better for the players' union, because that's another player that teams are going to sign and pay more money for, especially in the National League, that they normally wouldn't. So it's good for everybody. And this is a league that used to be America's pastime, right? The NFL has surpassed them as the #1 sport. The NBA is right there. right? So it's not like, hey, we have all our fans. They're doing everything they can for this new generation of people who don't want to sit for 3 hours and watch a baseball game.
Larry, I want to ask you this because you're a lawyer and I'm assuming you know all about Sports Business Journal and, and you've seen articles and stuff like this. But I remember when I was at St. John's, right, in my undergrad, I remember that we had studied an article a few years ago that it had said that baseball is dying. Attendance is going down. Television ratings are going down. And also and again, I don't want to open a whole can of worms here, but basically what it comes down to is that America's pastime is no longer, and you hit the nail right on the head, is that we are starting to see these new sports take over, not new sports, but other sports take over as the aforementioned America's pastime. And it's unfortunate that baseball is really playing victim to that saying. You said it. They want to see the designated hitter. Truthfully, I'm against it, but that's just because I'm old school. But a majority of fans are not like me. They're like you that want to see the designated hitter. So it's really unfortunate that it is going on. But that was actually a segment, folks, of what really grinds Larry's gears, because that really is. I can't say I blame him at all, especially for the massive baseball fan that you are and the massive Mets fan that you are as well. And finally, they're getting good just now. Guys, I want to conclude our segment here with a little video here. And as we did say earlier, part 1 of part 2 was played when Tyler had left. Casey and Larry, just before you guys go, we have one more video to play that commemorates all of our time here. That includes the inaugural episode. Take a peek.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Primetime Rundown. Here they are, Joey Jarzynka and Nick Artane.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you back to the Primetime.
I'm doing great, Double J. You know, look, you let me back on the show, so hey, it's going to be like, I'm Jewish, but it's like Christmas morning, right? It's going to be Christmas morning. We're going to have 5 gifts under the tree tomorrow, right? And it's just, look, this is a long time coming.
We would like to welcome our special guest, Rob DeLuca, with us here.
Just do one thing here. We did it off camera. And even though it's done, even though the run is over, we have to say, because Ian Schraier is a diehard Mets fan and a lifelong Mets fan. And let's just say that you now have the richest owner in all of Major League Baseball. How cool is that, Ian? Congratulations.
It's not official yet. It's not official yet.
And we actually have a little bit of actually a comment from a good friend of ours named Patrick McCormick, and this is his comment: "The Prue is the best jumbotron in the league." Well, I got to tell you, P-Mac, you are right.
At least it's on side.
Yeah, say it again.
I got that new jumbotron. It's nice, but
he does.
At least it's on side. It's not a scoreboard that's offside. At least
yeah. Can jumbotrons give me W's? No, they cannot.
It's true.
I applaud your restraint. Excuse me, Larry, that you didn't break into song in High School Musical. This could be the start of something new. You directed.
I thought about it. I've seen it. Casey's seen it more times than he.
Now Rob's
is it Larry? Is it Vanessa Hudgens? I can't tell. Both lookers.
Well, that has officially ended the debate. Rob DeLuca, you are 100% wrong, and you are the weakest link. Goodbye. That is it. Okay?
Get the Islanders up on the screen. I'm not through ripping on this crappy design. It is almost as if the New York Islanders woke up the day that it was due. It said, "Oh God, that's due today. Someone get the Photoshop paint bucket fill. Change the blue. All right, great. Whew, thank God. God forbid we bring back what the fans actually want in the Gorton's Fishermen. God forbid that we do that."
So naturally, it only made sense for the Jets to fire Greg Williams after the fact. That of everything for the Jets that's gone wrong this season, that play is finally what started getting people fired. That play is why Greg Williams is now unemployed. Somehow, Adam Gase is still here. He's obviously going to ride out the season because the Jets are now obviously tanking.
And I think they should get some sort of fine for that, because it doesn't get any clearer at this point. Like, what are we talking about? Like, how do you get burned that badly in the backfield? You don't.
He's calling for fines for them being horrible. I love it.
I'm calling fines for the intentionally throwing games. There might be a betting scandal involved. That video taught me anything. I need to get haircuts more frequently. My hair was 20 different directions through every segment I was in.
You know what? It was so nice to see Ian's dining room again, because he leaves that board up behind him 24/7. They eat dinner at the primetime rundown behind them. It's crazy. So it was nice to see what his dining room used to look like.
You know, I appreciate that, Larry. Thank you.
We got to see the evolution of Joey's goatee as well. Joey looks like when Michael Scott grows out his goatee at the beginning of The Office in the latest episode.
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, Casey Bryant, Larry Protakowicz. We have a couple of things, or a couple of comments that we want to post up here. My girlfriend Gina, 50 congrats, keep it up. Thank you very much, Gina. I appreciate that.
Is this you proving to us that she's real?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Right.
I didn't even see you type that from your burner account.
Who's the stud in her profile picture, though?
Well, you know what? I actually have. You see, there you go, DeLuca. But now I actually have something here from DeLuca's mom. Actually, that actually has a little bit
Casey,
of
relevancy. Thrown back.
A little bit of relevancy with Casey here. How about the premier sportscast of Rob and Casey at Marist Pre-College? LOL.
So I actually was looking at that the other day on my computer.
No.
Have the file. It's Rob and me in 2012.
Yep.
So we would have been 17 years old.
Summer 2012.
I'm somehow even more of a beanpole than I am now in that video. Just like impossibly thin forearms. And my hair is like down to my shoulder in that. Like that was back when I had my prime like Yager.
Oh, he was in great shape.
It was great. I loved that.
Think about that. That was me like 100 pounds ago.
That was before your trip to Italy when you just
the pasta. The pasta, never ending pasta.
They were 17 in 2012. I graduated from law school and took the bar in 2012.
I wasn't going to age myself that time, Larry. I'm glad you did.
And one final congratulations here is from the Mrs. Christine Schraier. Happy 50th episode, guys. Thank you very much, Christine, for that. We really appreciate it. And we also really appreciate borrowing your husband as well for the previous 25 episodes as well, because it has been beyond a pleasure to have him aboard here as my co-host, as well as Rob DeLuca. And also Casey Bryant, Larry Protakowicz, always coming in clutch whenever I have to work, or, or as Casey says, possibly coming up with burner stuff or whatever. But listen, guys, I really appreciate you coming on, and have a great night. And thank you so much for being a part of the 50th episode. Can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much for having us, and congratulations again.
Thank you, fellas. We really appreciate it. And now, there's actually a surprise here that we were not expecting at all. And actually, my business partner, Bobby Garenti, is here with us quickly. And Bobby, thank you very much for coming on in. And I don't have a nameplate for you, but welcome to the final couple of minutes of the Primetime Rundown.
Well, guys, once again, congratulations on 50.
Thank you.
I do have one question though. You guys did 50 episodes. I didn't get one invite to come on the show yet.
Hey, listen, calm down. Listen, there's still going to be plenty of time for you to come on. What do you think of this episode? What do you think this is going to end now?
I know. I'm just busting chops.
We should honestly quit while we're ahead.
Tina is real. I've met her, so she's not.
Well, thank you very well. Thank you. I want to say also to you as well for being not only a friend to me, but also a business partner as well, and allowing this whole operation to first off commence and get off the ground. but also we've made it 50 episodes and we've still got a long ways to go and a massive platform to build. So thank you, Bobby. And we'll definitely be in touch for sure.
You got it, guys.
Right,
Congratulations.
Thank you very much,
you, Bobby.
Bobby. We appreciate that. So really good stuff there, fellas. And, you know, we've really been beyond blessed. We've been grateful for everything that we've accomplished over the previous year and a half. You know, we've only had 50 episodes, but, you know, some rocky times in between. But again, I do want to start off by saying, you know, really, again, you know, may sound redundant, but a big thank you to my friend Nick Partain, who helped me start this thing and really get it off the ground. If it was not for him, it would not be here today. And also for Rob DeLuca and Ian Schraier being right there with me when certain things hit the fan, because things were not looking good at that time. And, you know, we came back extremely strong on a platform that allows us to be not only who we are, but also broadcast to the entire world. And we have done just that in roughly about a year. And I'm extremely grateful for you guys to be a part of it as well. Really good stuff here. And I think I know Ian's very happy that we did not touch upon the Trevor Bauer, Bauer portion.
I'm not sure too many of our viewers know this, but you know, that myself, Rob, and Joey, that this all surfaced right in the thick of the pandemic. And Rob and I have actually never met in person. We've never done so much as shake hands or stare each other eye to eye, except through what you see here on StreamYard. And I've only hung out in person with Joey only a couple of times. And you know, I think, you know, I speak for all three of us when I say we just can't wait for that streak to end, and we can actually all three of us get together and maybe do a live show or just get together and just enjoy each other's company, because it's been a hell of a 10 11 months, guys, for sure.
Rob DeLuca.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's not enough words out there for how thankful I am to be a part of this, for how long I've been a part of this. You guys welcomed me in as a co-host, and it has been an honor. It has been a pleasure. I can't wait to continue going with the two of you. Without the two of you, there's definitely no chance. There'd be no chance. I don't thrive without having at least one of you on. But both of you just makes it that much better. That's why I'm looking forward to 50 more, and that is why you guys, the two of you, are my kudos tonight.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
See that? Thank you. That's pretty good. And you know, I was actually going to say, you know, with the kudos with our with the bills that we got to pay, but now that you started it, Ian Schraier, go right ahead.
You know, I don't know if I want to top that. I mean, I did not see that coming. I mean, it's just been great. Look, you know, if it wasn't, and I'm going to do a little reminiscing here myself, if it wasn't for me commenting on a NHL preview show that at the time was Joey, Tyler, and Nick, you know, I don't know, you know, if I would be here today. And I thank Joey so much for welcoming me on, and this relationship that the three of us has had has grown into such a friendship. And you know, the amount we talk. I mean, when off air, I mean, when we're all off doing our own things and I'm doing family time, my wife cannot believe that I have 25 missed text messages from Joey Jarzynka and Rob DeLuca. like, you know, even at a 12:15 in the morning, they're still texting you, and I'm like, yeah, I know. I mean, we got a lot to get to, you know. But
no, please, that's nothing. When you guys get into your SID talk, I come back to 120 minutes.
that is very true.
But,
that is 100% very true.
Yeah, I don't know if I can really top that, but just to add in, I guess my kudos for tonight, as we had mentioned.
We've all Christine, all three of us have experienced it at some point.
Yep. But you know, with respect to New York announcing their 10% opening for all arenas, this is really just a testament. And thank you, Chris, for the comments. We appreciate it. You know, it's just a testament to every New Yorker that has gone through this for the last 11 months. The New York tough narrative, doing everything that all of us New Yorkers, Rob being from New Jersey, like Connecticut, whatever, any part of this country, doing everything they can to survive this awful past year that was the year 2020. And this really felt like the first little speck of normalcy since really, if you want to say last March, sure, let's call it that. But look to everybody. This is not the time to be complacent. Please follow the protocols, wear a mask, and most importantly, test negative. And Biden, our president, announcing that there's now enough vaccines that have been bought to vaccinate the entire country. So please test negative, wear a mask, follow the protocols. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting there. The finish line, we're getting there. We may have to live with this for the rest of our lives, but please do your part, be safe, and hopefully this can be a full return to normal sooner than later.
Amen. Amen. I was just to say that it may be around forever, but we can get back to normal. That's the difference.
As John Rothstein always puts it, stay positive, test negative is the saying there. Guys, my kudos goes to the country or continent or state of whatever you want to call it, Australia. I call it a continent. Why not? But they locked down their state, and that I know. They locked down the state of Victoria, okay? And what's going on there right now? The Australian Tennis Open. The Australian Open is going on there right now, and it can actually be viewed right now on ESPN2. It was the weirdest thing last night, guys, to see fans be evacuated from Rod Laver Arena as well as Margaret Court Arena, which is the number 1 and number 2 show courts or down under, if you will. And the reason why was because there were a total of 13 cases in a quarantine hotel that apparently people had left from. And they have not had a case there in a very long time. And all of a sudden now that the Australian Open is happening and now there's 13. But we all know how that, again, trickled back last March, where there was 13 in this city or in this state and city alone. And then all of a sudden it popped up to be millions and whatnot. We do hope, obviously, that does not happen again. But I'm sure that the way Australia has been taking precautions, where they have completely locked down the continent in a whole, where they're not having no one in or out, I believe that will eventually, be on the right side of history moving forward, where what they're taking right now is definitely the right thing. But like I said, my kudos to them for doing that. Like I said, weird sight to see on TV, especially when we're heading to bed. And it's also the summer out there too, the tail end of the summer. So crazy stuff there. Guys, we also want to just bring in one quick thing here. Pedro Gomez unexpectedly lost his life at 58 years old. We wish him and his family all condolences as well from the entire Eastern Observer family, as well as the Primetime Rundown. I know we said this a couple of weeks ago about our former guest, Michael Barron, New York Mets writer. He had come home with a case of COVID. Very
severe one too. Yeah,
very severe one as well. He is on the road to recovery as well. So we wish condolences on Pedro Gomez's family, but also a reassured a reassured sending of love to us from the Primetime Rundown crew. Let's get to the bills to pay, guys, because as always, we're 16 minutes over. It's really the usual. But
that's how an extravaganza is supposed to go.
That is true. That is true. But the first bill to pay here is Tom Brady. You are the man. That is all I have to say. That just shows that you are the GOAT right there. That Ryan Griffin, third string quarterback, as Evan Winters said 2 hours ago, is fantastic for holding the main man of the hour. He was, a little avocado tequila.
No, I do love though that, and I don't know if this was intended. There was any intent to this, but he's wearing like the old Tampa Bay Bucks creamsicle uniform like color. Yes. So I don't know. I mean, look, I can't imagine that there was actually any intent to that, because it looks like some kind of designer shirt that he's wearing. But very, very, very Florida-esque with his outfit. But I just thought how coincidental that it would be that color.
Also, we do want to just tell all of our viewers as well that are out there, we do apologize for not speaking about St. John's basketball tonight, but we will definitely get to that next week. I will not be here next week, but, as of right now, I will not be here next week, but any day, anything can change. So I will most likely be back, or I will be back on the 26th of February. So these two guys to my right, or to my right and just below, will be sure to to get everything going and holding down the fort. So let's continue with our bills to pay here, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow morning is going to be another edition, episode number 43 of our continued partnership with the New York Professional Scouts Association, as we highlight former Major League scout for the Cleveland Indians and San Diego Padres, Bobby Malkmus. He is the one that signed former Major League catcher Andy Allenson. That starts tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. right here on the Eastern Observer, as well as our website, theeasternobserver.com. Also, let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, the Daily Wrestling News Show continues Monday through Friday this week. It is normally Monday through Thursday, but this week is going to be a special one. Friday, Ryan Joy of Minutes to Bell Time will be welcoming our very own Gary Miheffi to the show, starting at 10 a.m. right here on the Eastern Observer. As well, next Tuesday night, is going to be episode number 41 of the Essential Wrestling Podcast, presented to you by Pro Wrestling Pick'em. That comes to you live Tuesday night, February 16th at 6 p.m. right here on the Eastern Observer. Let's not forget also as well, ladies and gentlemen, please continue to subscribe to us. Subscribe to us right now or whenever by searching the Primetime Rundown on the following platforms: Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And if you want to watch as well, please search the I-95 Sports Network on YouTube. Please, that would be absolutely fantastic. If you can all subscribe to us, that would be great. We keep the show moving forward. And also, we'll conclude with this one last comment from Rob DeLuca's dad, Rob Sr. Congrats on 5-0, many, many more. Mr. DeLuca,
thank you, Mr.
Here's
DeLuca.
to you. Thank you very much for that. We really appreciate that. And again, one final thank you very much to the main man that makes it all happen here, and that is Bobby Guarenti, my business partner. He is the one that makes this all happen, and he was on the show just a couple of minutes ago. If you're just joining us, re-listen to us in a couple hours on demand. Ladies and gentlemen, for Ian Schraier, Rob DeLuca, I'm Joey Jarzynka, and for all of us at the Eastern Observer and the Blackjack Media Group, we'll see you next time.